Hey, hello everyone.
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you, Caddy, Texas gal. Oh, Angie Ray. Hi, Angie. Do you want to say hi?
Hey, Angie. Hey, Hemi. Hello, Gold Star Mom and Sofa. Nikki. Hey, my girl. Chris. How's everybody doing?
Hope everybody's having a fun Friday. What's a good rhyme for Friday? You know how we say Sunday fun day?
Yeah.
What can we say about Friday?
Let me think.
Well, I guess if you smoked weed, you would say Hi Day Friday, but we don't. So, hey, Coco.
Hey, Coco. Hey,
love for
71.
love for Ari. Are you new? She said, "Hello. I'm so excited for today."
Oh,
Oh,
I know who that is. You know who that is too.
I know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Little turd. Uh, Nikki says Friday, fly day. Angie Ray says Friday, my day. And Sofa King says Friday, cry day. Why do you want to cry on a Friday?
Unless
Chrissy
you're
says,
laughing. Yeah, fuck it
yeah,
Friday. I like that.
I
I'll
like
just
that one
say it.
too.
See?
Hemi
Friday
says,
cry day. Now I would like Friday cry day if I was laughing so hard I was crying, maybe. See?
yeah. Hemi says Friday, very happy Friday. And Sofa King says Friday, die day. Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
I don't want to die. No.
I am not ready, girl. I got things to
That sounds
do.
like it should be some kind of a movie. Friday die
You know
day.
what? I like Gold Star Moms, and it's perfect for our stream tonight.
Okay, I
Frightful
like
Friday.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Frightful
I do
Friday.
like
All right,
that.
that's a winner. Let's do
I
it.
agree.
Welcome, everybody, to Frightful Friday.
I like that. That has a good ring to it, Gold Star Mom. Hey, MJ's
Oh,
life.
she said, Friday, because we're prying into cases. That's actually cute.
That is cute. That is a good one.
Yeah. So we're going to tell them about the case that you studied?
Yes, this case, we'll be prying into this case from a long time ago, 1912, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
So, do you want me to wait a couple minutes in case anybody else pops in, or go ahead, or what
Yeah.
would you like me to? Okay. Yeah, this will be
Let's
it.
just
I
chat.
hope. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Angie, wasn't there's a lot of crazy information on this particular Villisca axe murder.
Oh my God, that's a good idea. I'm glad you guys looked it up. So did I. Hey, Dorney. Welcome.
You can go down all kinds of rabbit holes on this one.
You see,
Lots
so
of different things. Yeah.
you didn't spend the night, or
Yes,
did you?
I did. I've
Oh,
been there
okay.
once just during a like nighttime tour and once on a nighttime investigation overnight.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither, Gold Star Mom. If I, was alive in 1912, I can't remember. Hemi, it's a very, very interesting case. Hi, Donnie. It
And we
is a
have
very
lots of pictures too.
lots of pictures. Don't worry, nothing gruesome. Sofa wants the link.
Yeah.
Now, I
So
am going to put out a trigger warning on this, and I'll say it
yeah,
again
there
if
you
anyone
go.
else comes in, because this particular murder was very gruesome, and it involves 6 children and 2 adults. So I will put that trigger warning out there.
Arie, Arie. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. Welcome to the
Yes.
stream. We're waiting until some people get in here. A couple more people.
Yeah.
So we'll just chat. So I had the absolute worst week I could ever have.
Hi, that Michelle. Welcome.
Hey, that Michelle. Welcome, honey.
She did have an awful week, I have to say.
Not to bring down the excitement in the party, but
Now, are you sad fishing? No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
yes.
Hey,
All
Dawn
right.
Kay. Thank
Hey,
you.
Dawn Kay, thank you. No, I'm not sad fishing. I should
I'm
though.
teasing you. I think this is called venting. So, yes,
I'm just talking.
I know
So
it.
my car broke down on the 405 and I had, oh my God, it was the hottest day. Normally it's not that hot here. It was in the 90s. Couldn't go in the car and cool off because it died. So I had to stand out in the sun waiting for my husband to drive all the way from the valley to come and get me. And then, so that was that day. And then I had a horrible day at work the next day with things that were going wrong. And then the day, was it yesterday? No, we didn't go
Yes.
live yesterday. The day before
No, day
yesterday.
before.
So my husband, thank God he's okay. I mean, he's in a lot of pain, but he's okay. Was in a motorcycle accident. And I start my vacation today. So my vacation is from now until July 5th, which is I'm so stoked about.
But you still had to work today from home.
Yeah.
Hi, Sandy.
And they called me from work and said, hey, we know you're at home, but we need you to help with all these reports and we'll replenish one of your vacation days back. So I spent my entire vacation day today working on reports and doing math. And then the whole reason I took the vacation is because I'm picking up my little new kitty tomorrow, which I thought I was doing. And then I get an email from the lady with the kitty to tell me that the kitty has a sneeze, an intermittent sneeze. And she had started her on antibiotics on Wednesday. And yeah, so now I can't even go get my kitty. It's just
gosh. MJ's life said it was 108 yesterday where she is. She swears she's going to melt before the summer's over.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
it's been really hot here too. The last couple of days it hasn't been as hot, but the humidity is nasty.
Yes.
It's just
I don't have
thick.
to worry about the humidity, but I know what that's
You're
like.
so lucky.
My dad lives in Savannah, Georgia. I want to talk about paranormal activity.
True.
He talks about it all the time. He experiences so many things. And the humidity there, he said he can't even go outside and he has to go back in and change his shirt 10 minutes later. I would not survive. I can't deal with that. It's like
Yeah, the
trying to
humidity
breathe.
is nasty. Angie, you're getting that hot and humid weather too. Ugh.
I never knew like Wisconsin and those types of places get that high of heat. Hey, Amanda C.
Hey, Amanda.
Little sprinkle right now, Leigh Ann. Depends.
Oh, is it? Is it still
it's like
humid and gross?
Till October. It's like that Seattle like spit, like dark in some places and.
Hey, wandering sub.
You're breaking up, Sofa, really bad. Do you have your earbuds in?
Oh, sorry.
That's
yeah,
okay.
it'll get better.
There
Is
you
it better
go.
when I get closer to the house? Okay.
Yeah, that's better. So we didn't hear anything you said because it sounded like that.
You would, if it's nice and cool up in Canada, yeah, you would melt.
No, she's still roboting. You're still roboting.
Yeah,
kind of.
But I had no idea that those states got that hot. Like even your state, Leigh Ann. You and Sofa State.
Yeah.
I had no idea it got that hot.
Oh yes, it gets miserable.
That's desert.
Amanda C said it was 103 real temp today. 112 was the heat index. Ew, yuck.
Yeah, Gold Star. I remember telling you that too. I gave her makeup advice months ago.
Yeah.
And I told her not to apply her foundation before she does her eyes. To do her eyes
okay,
first.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Am I better?
Okay. That was the best tip anybody ever gave me. So I love telling people that. Because then when you get fallout from your eyeshadow, your foundation, you can clean it up. When you already have your foundation on, it's hard to clean it up. So
right.
I do that all the time too. Dawn K says, look, I'm a big girl and we sweat our asses off. It's terrible in August.
Whew. Yeah.
Is Amanda C in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She probably hates hot weather and cold weather and spring and fall. Don't you, Amanda?
Hi, Adeline.
Hey, Adeline. I didn't know you were a Southern girl, Amanda C. I'm an LA girl. No humidity. 70s.
Sofa and I have enough humidity for all of us
That's
here,
the
right?
yeah. That's the thing, Leigh Ann. That's what I was trying to say earlier. It's like kind of raining a little bit, like spitting, but it's the humidity that gets me when you can cut through it.
Same here. The
Rocco
heat
said the
is
other day, would you rather die of heat or cold? And I was like, cold any day. I get pissed when I'm hot. Like pissed.
Me too. Me
I don't
too.
know though. That sometimes when you're so cold, it burns. Have you ever had
But you
that?
can warm up right away when you get inside. When you're hot, you don't warm up right away.
They asked if you wanted to die that way. So if you don't have any relief, I don't know. I've been so cold before it hurt.
I don't really know why he's wanting to know how I want to die anyway.
I know. Oh, okay, Amanda. So you're a California girl. That's me. We don't have high
she was
here.
born and raised in San Diego, one of my favorite places ever. I loved San Diego. I never wanted to come back home.
Yeah, Amanda, that's like known for having the best weather in the world.
Where's she at? Is she in San Diego?
No, she was born and raised there, but she moved south.
Amanda, you're my bae. Let's get back together. Let's go move back there.
Yes, Donnie, that's a great trick too. I do the same thing. If you put a piece of tape, Scotch tape on each side of your eye, start it from your crease up to the end of your eyebrow so you get a proper slant. Then you can do your eyeliner so beautifully. And your eyeshadow. So Gold Star Mom, if you don't do that, try that tip too. It's another one I do.
Gold Star Mom's in Virginia and the weather hasn't been too hot yet. You are lucky. It has been hot here. I think it's a little early to be quite so hot.
Amanda says, Sofa, you would rather freeze to death because it's supposed to be euphoric once hypothermia sets in.
Okay. I'll take.
Do you see MJ's life said it's bad when you can't get in the pool till 9 p.m. because it's too hot to enjoy, and even then the water's lukewarm.
Yeah, that's how it is in Georgia. When I visit my dad, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
He hates it. He hates it. I mean,
I don't blame him.
He lives in a gated community, so he gets to ride around on a little golf cart and go here or there. But there's alligators everywhere, and in his gated community, because someone had the bright idea to put in self-made, man-made lagoons. So of course the alligators are going to,
of course, water, yeah.
And then he wakes up all the time and goes out in his driveway and there's copperheads. And I'm like, oh, hell no, Dad.
Oh, my God. I couldn't deal with that. Nope.
That's like living in Australia. You have all those things that can kill you.
Oh, my God. I wouldn't go near there.
I visited it. It's beautiful. But, I mean, they have even their spiders. They have those spiders. They're the size of a hand.
There's nothing I hate more.
I could not do it.
I could not. I can't even. I mean, I need therapy for it. I seriously need therapy. Like if I have to kill one, I have to cross my eyes. I have to go cross-eyed so I can't see it.
Oh my
see it. I remember almost every place in the world that I've seen one at, but I have to go cross-eyed, and then I get really mad, and I start squirting it with this big machine gun thing that I bought that hooks up to my poison.
Oh my gosh, you need to video that.
I start screaming, "Die, motherfucker!"
No, Adeline, you didn't miss it. We're just warming up, Adeline, just me. We're getting there.
I just popped up because I was going to say that there was quite a bit of a live going on, but it looks like it's wrapping up and it's filling up. So I was just going to chat, and I'm going to jump down, and I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
We just like to talk to, plus we like to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Quincy.
Nikki said you're just supposed to give the spider a kiss on their noses. It'd be my luck. It would jump on my nose and bite me, and yeah.
The last thing I have to say about that is I'll never forget that Borat's wife, that redhead that from Wedding Singers.
Oh yes,
yeah.
She was on one of the Tonight Show talking about washing her hair, and she felt something, and she said it was just like a spider that took up the entire back of her head. And
Ew.
she had
Yeah.
recalled someone saying something the night before, like, I think there's something in your hair. So she said it was like there the whole night she went out.
Oh my God.
You know what got caught? You know how I have really long, crazy hair, right? And it's
Uh-huh.
super thick. One time I was in the shower washing my hair and I felt something when I was scrubbing my scalp.
Moo.
So I'm like, what the heck was that? And then I couldn't feel it again. So then I went then I went to conditioner. That's what it was. And I put the conditioner in and I felt it again. And as I pulled my hand out, there was a huge, huge wasp. It was
Oh, that doesn't scare me.
stuck in my hair. It scared the shit. I was dead, thank God. But if that thing would have stung me in the brain, because I'm allergic, and when I get stung, I swell up like 3 times the size. Like if I get stung in the arm, my arm will really like look like an elephant trunk. Could you imagine if I got stung in the head?
Oh, one more thing. Someone had a live yesterday, and I had just gone in right after somebody must have just mentioned something about having an experience with it. I don't even like to say the word. And I started like a dumb fuck reading people's comments, and somebody, I mean, I know who the subs were, but I won't say them. One of them said they walked in on their 4-month-old with a wolf spider on their face, I think, maybe sleeping.
No.
Another one said their father got bit behind the ear by a brown recluse and only knew because he got so sick. And then the other thing I was going to say is my sister-in-law claims that she got bit by a brown recluse and she was sitting outside and it was on her leg and it just bit her. I mean, how are you just sitting there and you just don't see it? Like,
but sometimes you don't, especially if you're sleeping. But brown recluses, it literally, their venom starts to eat away at your skin. So
I
you
know.
usually gotta get a shot for it. But those wolf spiders are the size of a hand. They're huge.
I have my house like doused by this guy named Carl who used to like spray the salon I worked at. And he has this huge sprayer and he sprays the whole outside of the house. And I'm like, I need you to spray it to the level of where we barely live. Like where we survive and the dog survives. But we never had any, but the first time he would do it during the year, the wolves would, we'd find them and curled up like dead. They were the size of a quarter. I was like, you gotta be. I mean, I just can't.
Yeah, they'll play dead. I've seen that. But when I was in Australia, Bella had to film a TV show and we had to go to Australia. And fruit bats, they fly around like birds. It's crazy. You'll be just going downtown and there's millions of fruit bats just hanging on the telephone lines and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. But you know what's beautiful is they have the cockatoos, the ones that talk, the big white ones. I think they're called cockatoos. Anyway, they're wild and they fly around. They're amazing. I got pictures of them just sitting on our balcony of the hotel we were in one morning. I was amazed.
I'm going to sing for Hemi and then jump down.
Okay.
They did the mash. They did the monster mash. The monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. They did the mash.
God.
They did the monster mash. The monster mash.
It's a damn good thing you don't work in singing. Get the hook out. If I had a hook, I would pull you off the stage. Leigh Ann, get the hook out.
That's all that was my scary song.
That wasn't scary at all. Sorry. Hey, OG Fish.
Oh my God. Bye.
Oh my God. That's your friend, Leigh Ann. You can have her. You there, Leigh Ann? Did you get booted? Uh-oh. I think she must have. I bet you know what happened. Anytime she gets a phone call, it knocks her off. So that's probably what happened. But you guys can all talk to me. Yep, see, I'm right. She got booted. Yeah, Sophie scared her away. Poor Sofa. But yes, Gold Star Mom, to answer your comment about thick hair, you are so right. I've always had thick hair, but I've always envied people with beautiful, silky, normal hair. And instead, I have this crazy, wild, heavy, thick mess. And when I blow dried, it's worse. Did you boot yourself? Leigh Ann.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, did you boot yourself?
No, my daughter called.
I told them that. See, Amanda, see, I am psychic. I told them I bet
calls. My daughter is almost 29, and even though I tell her we're going live, she forgets that we're going live. I'm like, don't call, you'll kick me out. So anyway, I'm back.
Yeah, I was like, Leigh Ann, and then it hit me what happened. OG Fish said, Sofa's singing knocked you off with the reverb.
I think you're right. That's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Chili May says Sofa has the voice of an angel.
Oh my gosh, a fallen angel.
I was going to say an angel that's fallen. I was thinking that same thing, Christiane.
I'm with you, Amanda. See, I have mine in a big old messy bun. Hey, Red Rose.
Welcome.
How are you?
Yeah.
So, okay, do you want to get into it? And
we can kind of start out with, Villisca, Iowa. Who in the chat has even heard of Villisca, Iowa, besides, the obvious thumbnail?
Hey,
Hi, Sugar Beet. So if you've ever heard of Villisca, Iowa, put a 1 in the chat, please. It's probably going to be everybody because we're just saying about the Villesca axe murders. But if you had never heard of it, prior to today.
I'm putting it in. Oh, can I tell the wondering sub what we found today?
Sure.
So Leigh Ann and I were getting everything ready for her presentation on this case. And do you remember, wondering sub, when you and Rena sent me the pictures and I made slides and they would not pop up? Not the last live, the one before. I could not get them to come up for anything. And Melissa Jade had to grab them. They were there today, just miraculously.
That is so bizarre. It's because of the ghosts we've been talking about. They did it.
Hey, T. Adams.
Hi, T. Adams. You're not late at all. We were just chit-chatting, waiting for some folks to come in, and we're getting ready to start.
Yeah. So you're right on time, lady.
Yes, you are. So and I saw a lot of... Go ahead.
Gold Star Mom named our night Frightful Friday.
I like that. We need to remember that and do that sometimes. Do a Frightful Friday sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Villisca, Iowa, a lot of people have not heard of it, and that's not a surprise. It's just a very tiny little Iowa town. Right now it has a population of about 1,132. It's a very small town. However, when this case actually came to light in the early 1900s, it was a railroad town and a busy railroad town. They were growing, and at the time of these murders, it was about 2,500 people, which still doesn't sound like a lot, but for southwestern Iowa, a little farm town, that is quite a few people. Hi, Dippity Doo. Do you want to show one of the videos? The first one maybe that we looked at? We're going to show a short video and we'll talk about it so that we're adding commentary. And you can, stop it throughout, Christine, and we can talk about it.
Sure.
Whatever.
Just when you're ready for me to stop it, just say stop it.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'm going to mute so that we can do this here. Hey, Laura Lulu. We're talking about the Villisca axe murder house and case. We're just getting started. So we'll talk a little bit about the case, and then we'll talk about some of the paranormal aspect of it.
In the middle of the night on June 9th, 1912, a family of 6 and their 2 visitors were murdered in Villisca, Iowa. They were bludgeoned to death by someone with an axe, and to this day, their murders remain unsolved. Villisca was a small town in southwestern Iowa with a population of between 2,000 and 2,500. In this town lived the Moore family, the father Josiah Moore, the mother Sarah, and their 4 children, 11-year-old Herman Montgomery, 10-year-old Mary Catherine, 7-year-old Arthur, and the youngest child, Paul, age 5. On June 9th, prior to the night of the murder, Sarah Moore had coordinated an annual event at the family's Presbyterian church called the Children's Day Program, which started around 8 p.m. The entire family attended the event. When the church services ended at approximately 9:30 p.m., Catherine Moore invited her 2 friends, Ina Mae Stillinger, age 8, and Lena Gertrude Stillinger, age 12, to spend the night at their house because the sisters were afraid to walk home in the dark. Mr. Moore called their residence to ask the parents' permission and got a hold of their older sister Blanche, who said their parents were out, but that she would give them the message. At around 9:30, they left the church by foot and arrived at their house between 9:45 and 10 p.m. The next morning, their neighbor Mary Peckham was in her yard hanging laundry around 5 a.m. when she noticed that nobody was awake at the Moore's house yet, which was unusual. At about 7 a.m., she became concerned when nobody had come out of the house to do their regular chores. She approached the Moore's residence and knocked on the door. When no one responded, she attempted to open the door, but it was locked. She went ahead and let the Moore's chickens out of their coop, then called Josiah's brother, Ross Moore. When Ross arrived, he tried knocking and shouting through the door, but got no response. He also couldn't see into the house because the window shades had been pulled down. He eventually used a spare key to gain entry into the home. Inside, he discovered 2 bloody bodies covered by a sheet in the bed of the guest bedroom, and blood splattered on the headboard of the bed. He ran outside and immediately phoned Joe's hardware store and asked an employee to alert the town's marshal, Henry Hank Horton, that something terrible had happened. Hank arrived at the house around 8:30 a.m. and began his inspection. There was an uneaten plate of food on the kitchen table next to a pot of bloody water. All the mirrors in the house, and even the glass in the doors, had been covered with clothing that the killer had found while rummaging through the Moore's dressers. The axe used for the murders was partially wiped clean and lying against the wall in the guest bedroom, with a 4-pound slab of bacon wrapped in cloth sitting next to it. The 2 bedrooms that the Moore family occupied had axe marks on the ceiling. Investigators knew these marks were from the attack because there were dust particles from the ceiling on the beds.
Can
They
you
also
pause it right there a second?
ceilings.
Okay, so they're talking about the axe marks on the ceiling. They are still there today. You can still see those axe marks in the parents' room. So I would just throw that in there. And this house looks, you'll see some images later on, the way the house looks today, but it's very similar. And they have taken it back to the way it was in 1912 with no electricity or anything. So just wanted to throw that in. Those axe marks are still visible. Go ahead, Christine.
Tell them about the slab of bacon.
Okay, well, the slab of bacon, I actually went to a lecture where they had the real axe on display, and they were talking about some of the things not often mentioned in this case. But the 4-pound slab of bacon that they found by the axe, whoever came in and murdered the people and got themselves food and whatever, had sex with the slab of bacon, and there was evidence of that, shall I say, after, yeah, I just ruined bacon for Dawn K. Hi, Yvette. So, it's too bad in those days they weren't able to run DNA because they would have caught their killer right there. But yeah, unfortunately, tattoos, she said she'd eat that bacon.
Not
Yes,
after the man
Hemi.
messed with it, tattoos.
Hemi, yes, I was in this house and I also stayed all night in this house, and we will definitely talk about all of that too. But yeah, that's one thing that's not mentioned often, but I heard it at the lecture and I've read it a couple of times. So gross.
I mean, I
But
know it's gross, but I mean, it's something we need to say because
it
that says
is,
a
but
lot about his mentality,
But on the other hand, I mean, at least he was doing that with the bacon and not say some of the children or the mother, that
Yeah.
there was no evidence that any of them, had any assault. So, I mean, thankfully, if there is any good thing to what happened to them, that wasn't part of it.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead. I'll mute.
Okay.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, guys, coming in. We just started.
were not in correlation to hitting the victims. This led some to speculate that the killer was swinging the axe around in a crazed frenzy. Sarah Moore was the only one who had obvious slices in her unrecognizable face from the sharp end of the weapon. The rest of the victims had been beaten to death with the blunt end of the axe. The parents had their heads struck at least 20 to 30 times, and there was evidence that the killer had gone to their room twice. After the murderer delivered the fatal blows to everyone's heads, they went to the parents' rooms to do more damage. Josiah Moore was crushed completely from his upper jaw and up. There was blood, brain tissue, and skull fragments spread all over the top of the bed's headboard. In the guest room, Lena Stillinger was hanging a third of the way out of the bed, her nightgown pulled up above her waist, and her underwear thrown under the bed. Blood and brain tissue was on her pillow. She also had a blood spot on the inside of her left leg above the knee, and it's been speculated that the killer pulled her down the bed. Some think she may have been the only one who woke up because of the position she was in, while others think the killer pulled her down after he killed her. Her sister Ina was on the right side of the bed, facing left towards Lena, with her hips rotated so that her buttocks was hanging out of the bed towards the direction of the lamp that was sitting on the floor next to the bed. Because of this display, it's believed the killer placed them this way for his viewing pleasure. However, doctors concluded they were not sexually abused. All of the Moore children appeared to have slept through the killings and were killed by blunt force trauma to the head. The marshal went back outside to Ross Moore and said, "My God, Ross, there's somebody murdered in every bed." He went back into town to get the doctor, and while he was there, made the grave mistake of mentioning the murder to some townspeople. Word spread like wildfire. Operators threw on the all-call switch that existed in the early 1900s and sent out a message letting everyone know about it. Stores closed down, neighbors and friends told everyone they could, and it didn't take long for the Moore's property to become a madhouse. At least 100 people invaded the home to gawk at the bodies, running and shouting from room to room, possibly disturbing evidence. The
Can you
marshal
pause
tried to
that for
get the
just a
situation.
second? We'll just throw in some commentary here. Can you even imagine that? Like it was such a small town where everyone knew everyone, and because the Moore family was a prominent family that everyone knew, just like what they said, all businesses were closing down and hundreds of people headed over to the house and were walking in and out of the house looking at these bodies. First of all, I can't even imagine how gruesome that would be. But Christine, can you even imagine? I mean, even any kind of little bit
No.
of evidence that they could have tried to collect back then,
Right.
there would be nothing.
Right. That tells me they didn't know much about investigating at all.
No.
And it tells me they weren't used to having any kind of crime in their little community because it was such a spectacle that everybody wanted to go in and gawk at it. Hi, Mandy.
Hi, Mandy. That's absolutely correct. That, I don't think they really knew what to do.
Yeah.
Hi, GMD. But I can't even fathom, as just a person who I grew up in a very small town, and I can't imagine, being back during these times. I wouldn't want to go see that myself. I maybe they were just trying to confirm with their own eyes that this really did happen. Yeah, they did. MJ's life. They tried. Yeah.
Did the police let them?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
So
but
they
it
just
was,
tried.
but at this point in time, remember, the marshal had been there and he went to notify others. So then it's spreading like wildfire that these murders happen. So all these people are going over there, and there's, by the time the police do come, there's more townspeople there than there is police. And with lack of any other words, that had to be just a complete shit show around there. The police trying to keep people out and people wanting in there. And can you even imagine how big of a mess that was?
Right.
Literally. Yeah. And Dippity Doo, that's right. The smell, because they had been killed sometime in the middle of the night. And so you figure, whatever time, midnight, 1 o'clock, whatever time they were actually killed, till 7:30 in the morning, when the neighbor ladies discovered that their shades were down and their cows were restless because they needed milked, and it just wasn't like the family. Yeah, by the time, I'm sure that they got there, you're right, the smell would have been horrible. Hi, Angela.
And Tilly Mae, it was Iowa.
Yes. Southwestern Iowa is where Villisca is at.
Right,
Go
Yvette.
ahead.
Yvette said they have
No,
no,
no, they
none at
did
all.
not. And in all fairness, I suppose they didn't think that the whole town would shut down and rush over there. I mean, for
Right.
something that gruesome, I
Mhm.
certainly wouldn't want to see it. But the Moores were a prominent family, and everybody knew this Josiah Moore, the dad. So I don't know if they went just to see for themselves. I don't know what their thinking was, but that was, who knows, in 1912. MJ's life, yeah, in June with no electricity, so it was hot and humid, I'm sure. And yes, the smell would be horrible.
And Mandy, Leigh Ann investigated this house and spent the night. She'll talk about
Yeah,
it after we do the
it is.
background.
Does look creepy. That's how it looked in 1912, and it looks very much the same to this day. We'll show you some modern pictures later on. But yeah, go ahead.
And if anybody's just coming in, we did do a trigger warning. Oh my goodness, trigger warning earlier in the live. So we're just going to say it
Yes.
again. There's a trigger
Yeah.
warning here.
Yeah, please. There is a trigger warning. This is an unsolved case, and we're also going to discuss a little bit of the paranormal with it. But this does involve the death, unfortunately, of 6 children and 2 adults. So there is a trigger warning out there for you all. Oh, thanks, Mandy. It was pretty crazy. All right, I'll mute and you can go right ahead.
Situation under control, but when he'd get people out one door, more would come pouring in through another. No one would listen, and the coroner didn't arrive until after the townspeople did. Luckily, the marshal and 2 doctors had gone in the house first and managed to complete an examination of the scene before people started barging in. 2 finished cigarettes had been found in the attic, leading investigators to believe that the killer hid out there until the Moore family got home and went to sleep. It's said that nobody woke up during the murders. Some believe the killer may have drugged their food so they would stay asleep while the killings took place. Another theory is that the killer delivered a single blow to their heads that was powerful enough to kill on the first strike, and then went back to the parents' room a second time to bludgeon their faces. There are 2 main theories to the bacon found wrapped in a cloth. The first is that the killer meant to steal it when they left. The other theory was that the slab of bacon had been used by the killer as an artificial vagina, judging from the way they positioned the Stillinger sisters, and that the bacon was next to them. However, no fluids or hair had been found at the crime scene. At the start of the investigation, there were several suspects and people who gave confessions to being the killer, but all were eventually dismissed as suspects. There were axe murders happening in other states
You want
as
to pause
well,
it there for a
along the
second?
trail of
Okay, so I don't know. They were just talking about the bacon again. Now, the presentation that I went to, where that was some doctor, PhD doctor, and he had the axe and everything. Now, he did say there was bodily fluids found on the bacon. So who knows? Could be either way. I guess it depends on what information you're looking at. Doesn't really matter. However, it's just good that there was no essay to any of them. Go ahead, ma'am. I'll pause or mute, I mean.
Maybe they meant maybe the lecture that you went to. Maybe he meant that there was DNA found on the bacon later.
That's possible. Yeah. I suppose there's so many differing accounts of the story because there was no modern technology. So, one person would say, "Oh, I saw this," and the other one, "Oh, I saw this." I can't even imagine. Yeah, Laura Lulu, that's right. You're absolutely right. Which just kills me because that was 1996. It wasn't like this where it was, 1912. All right, I'll mute. Go ahead.
Wait, did you see what MJ's live said? Watched a live stream and there was something at the top of the stairs walking. Was that this house, MJ's live?
Probably. There's all kinds of videos out there.
Just curious. Okay.
It's a very small house. It doesn't look that small, but it's not very big inside. But we'll talk about that later. Go ahead.
Okay.
of the Southern Pacific Railroad. Whether it was the same person or not, the axe murder sites were easy to reach if you were traveling by train. Many of the axe murders were done the same way. with whole families being killed and bludgeoned with the blunt end of the axe. Some houses even had the windows and mirrors covered, like in Villisca. It took 2 years for a trial to take place for the Villesca murders. It seemed like every person in town had someone to suspect. Everybody was scared, and the sense of peace Villisca had was gone. Days after the murder, you couldn't find a gun or door lock available because they had all been bought out. Despite the many people who had been suspected, the prime suspects were Senator of Iowa Frank Jones, Reverend George Kelly, William Mansfield, Andy Sawyer, and Henry Lee Moore. Frank Jones was an employer of Josiah for several years until Josiah managed to open up his own implement company. It was after this that Frank and Josiah became competitive rivals. Their relationship became so bitter that they didn't talk to each other whenever they crossed paths in town. There was also a rumor, which had never been proven, that Josiah had an affair with Frank's daughter-in-law, which added contention to their already soured relationship. Frank became part of a theory that he had hired William Blackie Mansfield to kill the Moores. William Mansfield became a suspect of the Villesca murders 2 years after they happened, when he was suspected of killing his own wife, infant, and father and mother-in-law with an axe. He was also believed to have committed axe murders that took place in Paola, Kansas. The one who blamed him for the murders was Detective James Newton Wilkerson from the Burns Detective Agency of Kansas City, who had pieced together a story with the rumors of the town against Jones. Mansfield's family was found bludgeoned, axe wiped clean, mirrors and windows covered with clothes, and lamps on the floor by the bed. However, Mansfield was acquitted of the charges when his payroll records proved he was in Illinois during the time of the Villesca murders. Mansfield later sued Detective Wilkerson and received $2,225. Several months after the Villesca killings, a man named Henry Moore, who had no relationship to the Moore family, was convicted for the murder of his mother and grandmother in Columbia, Missouri, after killing them with an axe. A federal investigator believed he was responsible for the Villesca murders, as well as 22 other axe murders across the country. While he was never found guilty of the Villesca murders, he served 36 years of a life sentence for the killing of his mother and grandma. Andy Sawyer was one of the suspected transients. He traveled around looking for work and eventually found a bridge foreman and pile driver and asked him for a job. He was hired on the spot. However, his behavior made his employer and the rest of the work crew worry. Andy had bought a newspaper to read by himself with the Villesca murders on the front page. He seemed very interested in the case and talked quite a lot about it. He also slept fully clothed while gripping his axe that he used to work the railroad. He apparently told the bridge foreman personally that he had been in Villisca that Sunday night when the murders took place and left town fearing he'd be suspected since he was new there. The bridge foreman turned him into authorities, but there was no real evidence linking Sawyer to the killings. It was also discovered that he had been arrested due to vagrancy in Osceola, Iowa when the murders happened. Another prime suspect in the Villesca murders was Reverend George Kelly. Reverend Kelly and his wife arrived in New York from England in 1904. He was a traveling preacher who preached across the U.S. at country churches. Kelly was well known as a sexual deviant who had mental problems. He was seen peeking through windows, and he had already been arrested for writing lewd letters to women who first wrote to him in response to a job offer. Reverend Kelly was a guest at the church the Moores went to on the night of the Children's Day program. The following morning, he had left by train around 5:19 a.m. When he heard about the murders, he became very interested in them, almost obsessed. In the following weeks, he started writing letters to authorities and family members asking about details of the murder. He even visited the crime scene and joined a team of investigators who just happened to be there at the same time. Some investigators thought it was strange how into the case he was, so a detective named Tom O'Leary wrote a letter back to him, asking him for details on the murder. Reverend Kelly's reply seemed far-fetched. He claimed to have been walking past the Moore's house when he heard the thud of the axe. He claimed the killer was disturbed by a couple walking by and had stepped out onto the porch until they had passed. He also said Mrs. Moore had reared up in bed before the killer struck. The main thing brought up against Kelly in court was that he was supposedly talking about the murder on the train that morning before it was discovered. A lot of people, including some authorities, were unsure of the credibility of his words because he had obvious mental problems. Kelly was arrested in 1917 and was put in jail all summer. When he was interrogated by 3 burly men, a state attorney, a sheriff, and James Risden, head of what would later be Iowa Criminal Investigation, they were shouting at him and threatening him, trying to get him to confess. Kelly said that God told him to commit the murders, saying, "Suffer the children to come unto me." After the confession, he recanted almost immediately. Kelly was tried twice, and both juries found him not guilty. Jury members, along with many other people in Villisca County, still believe that somehow Frank Jones was behind the murder, and somehow used his influence to frame a mentally ill man. Kelly also had a bruise on his cheek during trial, which jurors thought he had gotten during interrogation. Besides being mentally ill, he was only 5'2" and 119 pounds, with a quiet and calm personality. They didn't think Kelly mentally or physically fit the criteria for the crimes committed at Villisca. The investigations lasted for many years, but as time went on, the murder became a cold case. Whoever killed the Moores and the Stillinger sisters took their secret with them to the grave. Over 100 years later, it remains one of Iowa's most perplexing murder mysteries.
Hi, Blissful. So, what do you all think about that? Do you think any of those suspects there could have maybe even been the murderer? That Reverend Kelly was a different guy. He was very strange. I don't know that he killed them, but I wonder if he had something to do with it. What do you think, Christine?
I'm perplexed as the description of the interrogation when they said 3 burly men interrogated. Like, what is that
I
written
know.
somewhere?
It really is. Yeah, if you go to like the inquest and you read, I mean, that's pages, hundreds of pages. But if you read all of that, yeah, that's how they describe them, as burly men. So I was like, okay, well, what did they consider burly men? But I had to laugh because I'm thinking 1912. There's a lot of different language, you know what I mean, than we would speak today. But that is pretty funny.
Yeah. I think that it was the Frank guy.
The senator.
Yeah, because they the guy with mental issues would have been a perfect candidate for
Reverend Kelly. Yep.
Yeah. Because who else, like, when you think this guy, obviously this murder obviously was messed up in the head. So, I mean, who's going to have sex? Not a normal person is going to have sex with bacon and axe murder people. And what was the motive? So it had to have been something that you said this was a prominent, the husband was very prominent. It was a prominent family. The senator,
Moore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the senator,
sorry, go ahead.
The senator would have had an interest in getting rid of him, correct?
And the reason I say that is because Josiah Moore worked for Frank Jones. He worked for him. That's how he started out for like 9 years. And then he moved and opened his own implement business and took all of the John Deere accounts. And we all know John Deere tractors and, mowers and the John Deere brand. Yeah. So Frank Jones was already very angry with him that he left and started his own business to compete with him and took all the John Deere business with him. And then there was the rumor that Josiah Moore was having an affair with his daughter-in-law as well.
Yeah, so I think they set the guy with mental problems. I think they set him
Pastor up. Kelly, but it makes me wonder. I mean, I personally, in my opinion, I believe that Frank Jones had something to do with it. I think that he would have probably paid someone to have it done because, he wouldn't want his hands to get dirty from that. I mean, politician wise, so to speak, but he never did. This ruined his reputation anyway, and he never ever got reelected for the Senate again. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Reverend Kelly would have been strong enough to hit these people with an axe? And the sad part is, and again, trigger warning, it is unfortunately gruesome. He hit these people 20 to 30 times with the blunt end of the axe in their head. I don't know if...
Sorry. Did he start with the children first? Did they say?
No, I believe he started with Josiah Moore, and he actually used the bladed end of the axe. Then he got Sarah. Mm-hmm. Then they started with the children, the 4 children upstairs, and then went downstairs. And that person in this video had a good point about maybe that he could have drugged their food.
That's
Well,
what I was just going to say. Yeah.
the reason that I think there might be something to that is because in all the research I've done, when they came back from that Children's Day celebration at the church, it was known that they had chocolate chip cookies and milk. And so I wonder, because then, it'd be a lot different than today. You wouldn't just have your gallon of milk in your fridge or anything then.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they probably had what was called an ice box, but how easy would it have been to put even something in the milk?
Yeah.
Or slip something into, who knows what they would have used back then, or into the cookies, or it would have had to have been something that most of them consumed at least. So T Adams, I'm dying laughing right now.
I'm so glad, because Leigh Ann didn't want to tell the part about the bacon, and then we saw it in the video. So I mean, it was going to be said anyway because she didn't want to upset anybody.
No, I didn't.
Chat's having fun with that.
Yeah, they are. And it's if you think about it though, I mean, like the way that he posed those girls.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Did that.
Well,
I know I've said before, I'm just really glad that there was no essay to anyone. I mean, it's bad enough that they were murdered, but I think that would have been even harder because those two little girls that were downstairs, the Stillinger sisters, they were just overnight guests. They were friends with that Mary Catherine Moore. And so they lived out on a farm, and, think about that too. You're talking no electricity, and they were scared. They didn't want to walk home because they were afraid of the dark. And so that's why they were asked to stay all night, and be no different than kids today. Oh, can so-and-so stay all night? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so no one, gave it a thought. They came home, had their cookies and milk as well. So I can't imagine those parents, how they must have felt. And I can't imagine with all these people that were traipsing in and around the crime scene, how those parents must have felt.
Yeah.
The railroad tracks from that house, I want to say maybe half a mile. It's not far, because when I was at the house in Villisca, there's still trains that go through to this day. You can hear the trains. It's not very far. Definitely easy enough to jump off a train and walk there, or to jump on a train to get out of there, like somebody may have done here. Yes, I would say it's like, what you hear about stabbings today. They say, the more a person is stabbed, the more personal it is, because it's a very personal killing. And it was whoever did this. I agree with Christiane. I think that Mr. Jones, and there again, that's our opinion, but it seems awfully strange that they took out the brunt of their anger on Josiah Moore, and they used the actual bladed end of the axe so they could inflict more damage to him. Now the others, I mean, it's horrible. 20 to 30 blows with an axe. That's horrible.
It was somebody definitely angry, because it doesn't take that many times. Should we show the slide so that they can see the axe and everything we have?
Yeah, go right ahead. I'm going to switch earbuds here because mine are starting to die. So go right ahead. You can go ahead.
Tilly Mae, we're going to show the slides with the pictures. MJ's Life said the mom never recovered from losing her girls.
I would imagine not. And I don't know, there was other children too, but I don't remember if she had other girls. It's been a while since I've read a lot about the Stillingers, but I can't imagine.
MJ, go ahead. Sure, you can ask.
Of course.
Do you want to come up, or...
Give me just a second here. I'm switching earbuds and I had to untangle this cord. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, she can come up if she wants to.
Do you want to ask questions through the chat, MJ's Life? Or do you want to come up?
Or she, maybe at the end of our presentation too, if she wants to jump up. But I can answer questions too as we go, whichever's easiest. As far as the similar killings, I'm not surprised, honestly, because there were a lot of vagrants riding the rails, so to speak. And most of those people would not probably be carrying a gun, because they were jumping in and out of boxcars on trains, trying not to be seen. And I would imagine if too many of them were seen with a gun, they would have been reported. So if they were looking to rob people or hurt people or whatever, I think like in this instance, they just grabbed the axe that was already there at their house to cut lumber. I could be wrong, but it seems to me like there was an awful lot of axe killings, and it's strange. They're probably connected.
My soul survivor said my great grandfather got an axe to his heart because he was whistling while walking to work in Iowa. Oh my goodness.
That's terrible.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, MJ's life, it's a very good question. This particular case, I think, probably is not connected to those other cases unless Mr. Jones paid somebody that just completely got away with it and went and did it elsewhere. The railroad tracks do go through just like right at the edge of town. It's very small. It's a very small town. So yes, they do, but it would be so easy to go and jump a train there.
No, I think what she's asking is that the railroad tracks go through where the other murders were that we think may be connected.
I'm not sure, but I would imagine that it would have crossed some of the same towns. Yes, because you're talking miles and miles. That's something I can look up and try to find out for you. I'd be happy to do that for you.
If that were the case, then if they were all connected, then that would blow our opinion that the senator was involved,
but they never proved that they were connected ever, because they were talking about one of the other guys that had been arrested for killing his grandmother and his mother, and that was definitely, there was no connection there. They asked him, they interrogated him, and he didn't even know what they were talking about. So there was especially in that instance, there was no reason to believe that they were connected because he just didn't know who these people were. So I don't know. It could be there's some connection, or it could be a copycat. They were reading in the papers, because that knocked the Titanic right off the front page of the papers.
Oh, did it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
And so it's
MJ's
hard telling.
Said that those tracks do run through. She heard it from someone that researched it.
Thank you. So there you go. Yeah. It's hard to say, they could be similar, or like I said, it could be a copycat thing, because everybody had an axe in those days. It was not unusual, because you would be cutting your own lumber and whatever,
Yeah.
So who knows? That's awful.
Yeah, that's a good point. It could have been a copycat. I didn't think of that.
The only reason I thought of that is because of that. It took the Titanic off of the front pages of the newspapers, and that was all over the country. And there is the victims right there. So Josiah up there at the top, he's the one that took the business away from Frank Jones. And supposedly the rumor was he had an affair with Frank Jones, his daughter-in-law. Then you've got Sarah, his wife. And then they have their 4 children, which was Herman, Mary Catherine, Arthur, and Paul. And Arthur and Paul those are the only pictures in existence. But they were, I want to say, like 5 and 4. They are little, not real old. And then, of course, Ina and Lena Stillinger there. The girls that were visiting are on the bottom right. I know. It could be. That's very possible, Sugar Beet. I know MJ's life, right? Those sweet babies. So this is the house as we kind of saw it, but this is it in 1912. That's how it looked. It still looks very much like that to this day.
Does somebody live in that house now?
It had not now. No, it had been rented out in the past, and there was people lived there that said nothing happened to them. But when this house was bought and it was turned into the Villesca Axe Murder House, they took it back to the way it was in 1912. And that really ramped up all of the energy in there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. There's the cemetery. That is the plot of the Moore family. And when I went investigating, we actually went to the cemetery and we left flowers there. And we, spoke and said, we hope it's okay that we're going to your house. We're going to be respectful, whether it was haunted or not. I think we just wanted them to know that we weren't being disrespectful, or we're not going to disrespect their memory. Yeah,
Lord-
that's right.
yeah.
So I'm sure that's why Josiah Moore got the worst part of that. Not that
Adeline
it
said,
all was horrible, but
yeah. Adeline said that the railroad that runs from, I don't know how to say that.
Osceola to
Osceola.
California.
Yeah, is the same
Okay.
Zephyr train?
There you go. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's the Stillinger girls. There's Lena and Ina. Same thing. We took flowers to them and also said that we'd be visiting the Moore house and that, you know, we weren't disrespecting them, that we came actually to pay our respects at the cemetery there.
You're holding
Adeline, I do see coins and I would have to look it up, but a penny means, I think a penny is like you're just visiting. A quarter means you knew them. I'd have to look it up, but each coin means a certain thing. That's why you'll see those sometimes. But yeah, there's Lena and Ina's graves. I can't even fathom.
Where did you see coins? I missed it.
It may have been on the other graves.
Oh, okay. MJ's Life said there's so much activity, but I believe it feeds off your energy. If you go in respectful, that's what you get. If you go in taunting, you'll get that. But suppose it's true for any place.
Yeah, if you go in there provoking, yeah, you're probably going to get some stuff you don't want to. Although we were not provoking and had a few things happen to us that we did not want either. So definitely not. But yeah, and there's their funeral. That's the hearse. And that was where they would take the coffins in the hearse. I'm assuming there was several different ones from other towns, but that's just a picture of one of the hearses there. And you can kind of see, I think that's like military guys kind of, I mean, you got to figure 1912. So yeah, there was a humongous funeral procession. People were coming from all over.
Wow.
Yeah, Adeline, he did an overnight there too. Yeah, the cemetery, the coins, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to look it up, or Christiane can look it up before we're done and see. I know that they stand for something. Like a penny means this, a dime means this, whatever. So there's the axe. That's where the axe was found. And I actually saw this axe when I went to a lecture about this, and it was just kind of creepy being in, it was in a case, of course, but it was kind of creepy just being in the presence of the axe, knowing what happened. And that's just my silly cat, so I want to apologize. He's running around chasing my other cat right now. So if you hear a weird noise, that's who it is. Stop.
Okay, I found it. I got interesting info. Okay, so leaving coins on graves. Leaving mementos and other signs of remembrance on graves is a long-held tradition. While the most common thing to leave on graves is flowers, this isn't the only way to pay tribute. In the Jewish faith, people leave stones, and in Latin America, it's common to leave candles. Another tradition that's developed out of both mythology and U.S. military culture is the leaving of coins. Oh, so it's developed out of mythology. In ancient times, coins were a way to prepare loved ones for the afterlife. They were a bribe to ensure safe passage to the world of dead. Wow. The coins placed on graves carry a number of meanings. Throughout history, coins and other money have been used to bring good luck to the deceased and aid them in the afterlife. While today's meaning might not have mythological ties, it is important to understand how this tradition came to be. And nowadays, when we talk about leaving coins on graves, we are most likely referring to the graves of soldiers.
Yes, that's what Punkette just said too. It's mostly a military thing from what I'm reading.
Yeah, it says when you see a coin on the grave of a serviceman or woman, this is a sign that another member of the military had paid their respects. A penny at the gravesite means you visited and you have no formal relationship with the deceased, but you honor their service and their family. A nickel means you and the deceased person trained together at boot camp. A dime, you served with the deceased person in some capacity. And a quarter indicates you were the deceased when you were with the deceased when he or she died. For non-military members, coins on the grave are a practical way to honor a loved one. First of all, they're a way to pay respects and offer good luck. So there you go. Was he in the military?
I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of, but I think sometimes people just leave coins to just say they've been there.
Yeah. It's a way of showing respect and sending good luck to the deceased if it's not a military person. That's interesting.
Yes,
I like that.
it's very interesting. Thank you for looking that up.
Yeah.
I don't think somebody asked, Blissful, you asked if 1912 was the Edwardian era. I think the Edwardian era might have ended in 1910. But Christine, would you mind looking that up for me? I'm afraid if I go out of this, it's going to boot me.
Yeah. So when did the Edwardian era end?
Yeah, I think Edwardian era ended in 1910. And I'm trying to remember if it was the Common Era or what exactly was after that.
Yeah, it was from 1901 to 1910.
Okay. And this was in 1912. Nikki, it would not surprise me if that axe holds any residual energy. It was in a case, but just walking by it, you got a really weird vibe off of it. And it's not a stupid point at all. Don't ever think that.
Punkette said, as a Native American, we have our own traditions when we visit a grave. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll have to look that up. I find that so fascinating. I didn't know about the coins. I learned something tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, Nikki said, we use coin tokens over the eyes after death to pay the ferryman. It's a Nordic tradition that I was taught by my grandparents. Wow.
Oh, haven't you ever seen that before on movies sometimes? I think they'll have the coins.
Yeah, I just didn't know what it meant.
Tilly May asked when World War I was. I think, if I remember my history correctly, I think it was 1914 to 1917 or 18.
It was from 1914 to 1918. You were close.
Okay.
So there's the axe. So he just left it at the scene?
He did, next to the bacon.
Wow.
Yep. He just walked away and left it. And that's just crazy to think about that today. And you would think, oh my gosh, they're just leaving the murder weapon, but they had no way to really get DNA. And I'm not even sure at that point. I don't even think they could have, even fingerprinted. If they did, I mean, there wasn't like a central registry they could go to or anything. So I'm sure the killer felt comfortable with just leaving it there. But it is a creepy feeling. And I don't know if it's just because, I am a sensitive, if it's for me, or just because I know what happened with that axe. But you would think that it would have to be somebody who had quite a bit of strength.
Yes, that thing is
to
huge.
Do that. And plus, there's axe marks in the ceiling where it slants in Josiah and Sarah's room in the house. So, it had to be someone very strong to go and kill each one and to bludgeon them 20 to 30 times each.
Yeah,
it's a horrible thought. And tattoos is right. There has to be DNA on it all now. The sad part is they wouldn't have had any central registry. And even now, I mean, they might be able to trace it down to try to find maybe a relative of a murderer or something. I don't know.
But people probably touched it. So how would they roll out?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I'm sure people that were in the house being gawkers looking at the crime scene, and who knows who picked it up, and the police handling it and everybody else. You're right. It does look like a strange axe. I thought that too. The handle is kind of a weird shape, but that was Josiah Moore's axe that he used there at their home.
So the mentally challenged guy,
George Kelly, Pastor Kelly.
He looked very little, so I don't know. I changed my mind.
He was 5'2".
He's as big as the axe.
He is. Yes. That's why I don't think that he did the killing. I think that Mr. Jones maybe hired a different man to do the killing, and this guy
set him up.
Exactly. Because this guy got himself in trouble going around peeking in windows. He
Uh-huh.
was peeking in windows at women and unfortunately children. So he was already getting in trouble for that around the town. And he was a traveling pastor.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it looks like he was definitely a creepster, but he's as
Yeah,
big as the axe.
but he the thing that makes me kind of not think it was him is number one, his size. Number
Right.
two, he was the preacher at the Children's Day services. And they think that whoever murdered these people was hiding in the attic, which they know there was 2 cigarette butts in the attic. So it couldn't have been him. He was at the church already. So
M
there again, though, was it set up?
and
Yes,
MJ, a few people have said maybe more than one person
I
did it.
believe it. I believe that. I think maybe Mr. Pastor Kelly was used in it to take the fall for somebody. Because, overall, he got arrested, but then he was let go.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me wonder, though, because, there's no way he could have done his church stuff with the Children's Day celebration and then hurried up and got to their house, even though it was only a couple blocks away. Normally speaking, after any kind of church service, your pastor's still there as people are funneling out.
Right.
So it would have been very noticeable if he would have just hurried up and got out of there. People would have
Yeah.
been wondering what was going on there. So
Right.
I wonder if he was kind of the fall guy because whoever set this up knew he was already in trouble around the town.
Oh, Nikki said they started using fingerprinting in the U.S. as early as 1911, but they would have to have a file of something where they could refer back to and have everybody fingerprinted.
And like
when did they start doing that with school age children? Probably much later.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Hemi said that axe is built to swing with one hand. So whoever did that would have had to be, I'm assuming, fairly strong.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, the killer, I'm sure, took breaks. I don't think he took breaks in the upstairs. And the reason I say that is because in that house, it's actually very small. When you go up the stairs, they're very steep stairs, and you're literally in the parents' room. You're at the foot of their bed. There's just a little tiny space, and then you're right at their bed. So I think, and the closet door is right across from where their dresser sat, which was literally right next to the bed. Yeah. So this person could have, if it's possible, they drugged the milk or food or whatever. Yeah, tattoos. The house is very small. It doesn't look that small, but it is. So then
tattoos
there's just
tattoos. Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't know.
So that. there's just a little bit of space, a little walkway, and it's very, very small. And then you've got the kids' room, and all 4 of the Moore children were in that room.
Oh wow.
So I think, whoever would have done this upstairs, he would have wanted to get this done as quickly as possible because they wouldn't want to take any chances probably that any of the kids would wake up. So
yeah, I don't imagine. I can't imagine how one of them didn't.
Exactly. And that's why it makes me think whoever was in there, either they had to have done something. And the only thing that I could think of is what could they have poisoned? Well, I don't think they would have poisoned whatever they ate for dinner because they weren't in the house yet. But it makes me think, and when I read that about that they had chocolate chip cookies and milk, that makes me think the milk. How easy would it have been to slip something in the milk when those people were all at church? This person was just hiding out, waiting for them to come back and go to bed.
Susie, she's going to go into the paranormal things that she experienced after, I think, this part of the slide.
Oh, tattoos didn't go there. She watched the lives. It is a very small house. It doesn't look like it, but it is. And I think Christy Ann's going to find some pictures for us later on of what it looks like inside the house now. Okay. Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, I agree with you, MJ's life. They had to have had something because how on earth could somebody kill 6 people upstairs and 2 little girls downstairs didn't know it?
Yeah. Right.
Sofa, no, I don't have the footage because the person that has it left our group and will no longer share that with us, unfortunately. I can
We can
tell
hear your
you,
memories though in words.
yeah, oh yeah, I can tell you my experiences, but unfortunately I tried and I had someone else try this week to get that, and no. So
No
I
problem,
apologize.
Susie. No
Adeline, I don't
worries,
know.
Susie.
I don't think the cookies came from the church service. And the reason I say that, because if for some reason those cookies had something in them, you would have thought they would have heard about more people being affected in the town or gotten sick, or something like that. Because very small town, but who knows? I think that the mother probably made them just from the way it read when I read that before. And yes, MJ's life, they would have been screaming. I mean, those four little kids and Sarah, they would have heard Josiah get hit with that first hit with the axe. And so, yeah, they would have all been freaking out. So that's why it's just strange, very strange. There's the suspect. So there's Mr. Jones there, Senator Frank Jones. He's on the far left.
Yes,
And then
so we're going to show pictures of the inside. She's impatient. She likes to see murder scenes.
you won't see it. You will not see murder scenes. You'll see actually what the house looks like now, which is what it looked like in 1912. Hey, Sabrina. And then see that next guy there, that William Mansfield. He was a suspect for quite a while. Because he is a big, strong guy, and they figured maybe he had something to do with it, but he didn't. Apparently I think he might have been the one. I think he's the one that killed his mother and his grandmother. And so he didn't have anything to do with this. There's Reverend Kelly there towards the end. And you can see he really was a little guy compared to the other guys even.
Right.
Yeah,
that's who I thought too. But now that I know he was only 5'2", he's the size of the axe.
But I really do think that he was the one that took the fall for it, And I don't know, for all we know, he could have been paid to take the fall for it too. But there's just so many strange things about this whole case.
Susie G said, I'm feeling the person must have been very familiar with the layout of the house to be able to go through it unheard. Nikki said the same thing. I agree.
I don't think that they went in the house while the people were there. I think they went in the attic while they were at church and they were waiting, is what they were doing. And I think that there had to have been something involved that would have drugged these people, because there's no way you would not hear others getting axe murdered in your house, especially that is such a super little house. There it is on the paper. That paper is the Villisca Review, but it's kind of what we were talking about before. This took the Titanic right off the front pages of the papers all over the country, which is crazy when you think about that.
Oh, thank you, GMD.
They started fingerprinting. Oh, okay.
In 77.
So there it is. That's what it looked like. That was on June 10th of 1912. So you can kind of see there. It looks a lot bigger than it is, believe me. So the three windows at the very top of the house there that you're seeing and towards the front, that's the kids' room. And then you've got right underneath that is the living room, what we would call the living room, but they called it the parlor. And then you've got the windows. One of those windows is also to the parlor. And then the back window is the back bedroom where the Stillinger girls were. It's a very small house.
When we were watching the video, it said that the murderer took clothing and hung them on the windows like curtains.
On
Why?
the mirrors, and on the glass of the front door.
That's weird.
Well, there's a lot of paranormal lore about mirrors being portals, and I think this person thought that if he covered the mirrors, that their spirits would not go and be into this portal of the mirror. It was something to do with the beliefs. So even still, I mean, at least the last time I was at the Villisca house, they had the mirrors covered just like they were back then. And it is a very eerie feeling when you walk in that parents' room and you can see those axe marks in the ceiling and you can see those mirrors covered, and it's all set up like it was. It's very creepy. It's unnerving. And he also covered the glass in the front door so that people couldn't just peek in, Yeah, it's very strange. So there they are. That was with Herman and Mary Catherine before they had the little boys. So you can see, I mean, even just by their clothing, although Herman has kind of a silly looking tie or something on, but I bet that was, a popular thing then. But you can kind of see they were dressed nicely. They were a prominent family, and so they had more pictures than probably some others would. And there is actual pictures of them, real pictures, not just, reprints of them in the house, hanging on the walls. So that's kind of unnerving too.
We're going to show a slide deck of the house from the official website too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So there's the end of that one.
Yeah. So that it gives you an idea of like who they are. And yeah, MJ's Life said that those mirrors are still covered as of 5 months ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Every time that I've been there, they've been covered as well.
That's crazy.
It could have been, Nikki. It could have been. I don't know how prevalent the mob was back then, but clearly there was some affiliation of some. I think someone was paid to do it, in my opinion. And
Okay.
I really suspect that Senator Jones had a hand in that somehow. I don't think he physically did it, but my opinion is that he maybe had someone do it for him. All right, I'll shut up. You want me to mute?
No. This is just a slide deck. So you're going to have to talk through this too.
Yeah.
So this is the slide deck that you and I found.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this first picture, these photos that are hanging on this board are photographs of orbs, apparitions, and other things of people who visited the house. And this board is there as of 2020. You can't really zoom in to see the orbs and such.
But you can go to their site and check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they encourage, if you've got any evidence, photographic, whatever, they encourage it. OG Fish, has anyone been able to connect with their spirits? Yes, I would say so. I mean, when I'll tell you about like when I went, what happened. There's how it looks today. That's what the house looks like today. There really is a sign out there that says the Axe Murder House.
Wow.
The town doesn't want to talk about it. So like when we stopped at the gas station and we were getting something to drink and then asked if they could tell us where the Axe Murder House was, they just ignored us basically.
Did they?
So, oh yeah, they became very unfriendly.
Do they not like tourists maybe, or they just didn't like to talk about it?
I just don't think they like to talk about it. I don't know. After all these years, their town is known for the axe murderer town, know, and I think that maybe they just don't like the stigma because it was so long ago. No, I don't know that that's everybody. Clearly, I can't speak for the whole town, but just our little bit of experience, they were not friendly.
Yeah, wow.
And and I'm sure there are some friendly folks in the town, but, we could even tell when we pulled up that the neighbor guy was outside and we said, good evening. And he just kind of looked at us and went inside. So I don't know.
Sounds, you normally small town folks like this don't.
Thank you, Nikki. No, well,
to have their town overrun with tourists.
Right. Well, and I grew up in a very small town, less than 1,700 people. And, when someone new comes to town, boy, it fast and you wonder what they're doing. Now, granted, the town that I lived in didn't have an axe murder house there. So I can kind of see that. They might want their town seen for something more positive. Definitely.
Okay, so this is a photo.
Like, no, I don't have a video because the person that went with us is no longer in our investigation group and they would not give permission or give us those videos. So I apologize.
This is a photograph of, okay, I should say this though, Leigh Ann, because she doesn't have that footage, we did find footage of somebody else that went in and did similar to what Leigh Ann did. So she's going to talk about. Yeah. So she's going to talk about, while we're watching the video, talk about her experience because it's very similar to this person's. So, okay.
Exactly.
This is a photograph of Sarah Moore and two of her children hanging.
It looks like, I can't tell which ones they are because I'm on my phone. So it looks really little on my phone.
Yeah.
Let me mute a second. I'm going to pull it up on my TV where it's bigger.
Yeah.
Give me just a sec.
And I can't tell if they're girl or boys because I think back then they dressed
They put
up.
them in dresses.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know that because there's a picture of my grandfather in a dress with long curls, which is hilarious.
Yeah, back in the day they did that.
Yeah, I can't. My TV is being stupid. It won't pull it up for me either. But it looks to me like that might be Herman and Mary Catherine. They're the two oldest.
So
That's
this,
in the children's room.
yeah.
And so, it's not obviously the exact beds, but it's very similar to what would have been in there. So, and this is, they tried to get this back to the way that it looked in 1912 as closely as possible.
So there was a child young enough to be in a crib?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, the youngest one I think was 4, but back then they probably still just put them in that.
Yeah.
Oh, darn. MJ's Life said if she would have known, she could have got a tour video. Well, shoot. Well, some other time you'll have to bring it and we'll show it.
So this is a dresser.
Nashville, you say there is a ghost cat there. Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is, I believe, downstairs where the Stillinger girls were found. In fact, I'm almost positive. Yes, that's how they have it covered. And what you see there, I believe, is little bracelets and things. People will bring things for the Stillinger girls or for the Moore kids. Like when I was there, we took a little ball and we took some toy cars and a doll. So we did take the kid. Oh, and a slinky. Somebody brought a slinky. So we left some stuff for the kids because it has been documented with other investigators, like a ball rolling around and things. So
do they have a mirror covered here? Is this a covering of the mirror?
Yep. This is just like a sheet or a blanket over it. When the person did it, it was clothing. He went through dressers and found clothing and put the clothing over the mirror.
Wow.
Sandy, I know, aren't those picture frames beautiful? Those antique frames. This is in the kitchen. And so you can see how dark it is in there, kind of ominous. It's because there's no electricity. They had everything put back to as close as it was when the Moore family lived there as possible. And you would think, this is such a small house and Josiah Moore was doing so well with his business. You would have thought that maybe they would have built a little bit bigger house, or maybe that was, plans that they had eventually. And unfortunately, that was all stopped. It's sad.
It says the killer left a weird crime scene with food half eaten on the kitchen table.
Yeah, he made himself something to eat. I don't know exactly what. I don't think I've ever seen if they said what, but yeah. There was a bowl of bloody water because I'm assuming he washed his hands and sat there and ate half of a meal.
Wow.
I mean, I don't think that's a phone on the wall. It might be. I can't tell. I don't remember one being there when I was there.
It's very dark.
Yeah.
It looks like a phone.
Oh, thank you, GMD. It might have been. It might have been one of those very first phones, where you pick it up and the operator connects to you. So it's possible. I just don't remember it being there when I was there, but that doesn't mean anything. It could have come after I visited. And I am not sure what that is. Does it say?
It's a toy
truck. Is that the
truck.
attic? Oh, it's a truck. Okay.
It says a toy truck sits at the foot of the iron fireplace inside of the axe murder house. So that's the footing of the fireplace.
Yeah. Sofa, I don't know how he did what he did to the bacon, but I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. Sicko.
It said it was folded and wrapped in something.
I'm just in a cloth. I'm just glad that he assaulted the bacon and not any of the humans. So MJ's Life, yeah, we'll have to work that out so we can, maybe Mexi will let us show the video. That'd be awesome.
This is in the closet.
In the closet? Yeah. In the room that the Stillinger girls were in, the very first person that bought this house and turned it back into the axe murderer house, his name was Darwin Lynn, and super great guy. He passed away now, but he would always have his overalls on, and just a super sweet guy. And he knew so much about this house. And he told us when they were repainting the closet in the Stillinger, where the Stillinger girls were, that every single time that somebody climbed up on a ladder to paint, above the closet door, they'd get pushed off.
Oh, wow.
And literally in that room, when I was there the last time, and hopefully that's been a while ago, so I'm assuming it's probably painted now, but you could literally see where the paint would go, halfway up to the ceiling and then nothing, because every time they tried, they'd get pushed off the ladder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he said he didn't know if it wasn't like so malicious, but he doesn't know if it was maybe the girls that either A, didn't like the handyman that was painting, or B, was like, you need to go, get out of here kind of thing, warning him,
Mm-hmm.
So.
A tour guide, Johnny Hauser, said one of his scariest stories about the house was when he hid in Catherine Moore's bedroom. Oh, wait, it cut me off. Hold on. Let me see if it'll.
So this right here.
Here it is. Okay, I got it.
Oh.
Is when he hid in the closet to scare an intruder, only to find that when the intruder entered the room, there was no one there. As soon as I see there's nothing, it just sucks the air. I got the wind knocked out of me.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So the next picture I saw that's where the Stillinger girls slept. Lena and Ina, that was the room that they slept in. Aww. So, and a lot of times people will bring little things for them too, dolls or bracelets or necklace, or, people will bring a lot of things for the kids.
Those
which is nice.
Frames are gorgeous. Look at that one.
They are. I know, it's beautiful. It's just such a sad situation. Yeah. I can't tell what that is.
It's a bookcase. It just books sit on a downstairs safe.
Okay. They're just showing, I think, just different things around the house. They had a piano in there. When we were there, we heard the piano. There's a kitty. I don't know if that's a real cat or a ghost cat, but there it is.
They said real, but it says the local cat sits on the porch. The stray cat frequents the property and is known by the staff.
That cat was not there when I was there, but they were in the process of building on. There's a building back behind that was almost done, but I never saw the cat. Because you know me with cats.
Yeah, he looks a little raggedy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a ghost.
Maybe so.
Oh, wow. That's cool. This is an oil drawing done by Sarah Moore. It sits on the piano.
That's very pretty.
She made that. Wow, she was good. I thought that was a real photograph.
Nikki, this house has not been rebuilt. It's the original house. The only thing they've done is, over the years it was modernized. So they took it back to as close as they could get it to 1912 when the Moores lived there. There's no power in the house. There is a building back behind where their barn used to be. That is a modern building. Obviously, there's bathrooms and stuff because they do overnight visits. But the house itself is original.
Oh, there's the mirror half open there. They have a little opening where the cloth is.
Yep. It probably slid down. They usually do not let that at all. So it is emotionally exhausting to be in there, Susie. It's heavy.
This is the people have visited, they write on these boards.
Mm-hmm. I didn't write on those.
It says, this place is crazy.
It is crazy. Why didn't they tear it down? Well, people lived in it for years. It was like rental houses and stuff. And then I think the discussion was possibly to tear it down. And that's when Darwin Lynn and his wife bought the property because he wanted to turn it back to the way it was. And then once he passed away, his wife sold it to someone else in the town. And the man that runs it now he's the caretaker also. And he preserved the house, preserved the history. Plus, I'm sure to be honest, I'm sure he makes a lot of money on the tours and stuff too. So, yep, there's the attic.
And it says the attic is one of the more active areas in the house for paranormal.
It is. It's a very weird feeling in there. It's the way I felt in there was like, you know how when you get really nervous and your stomach kind of feels like it has butterflies in it? That's exactly how I felt. I felt anxious. I did not want to stay in that room for very long, that attic. I couldn't, it just felt too weird to me.
Yeah, it looks very gruesome. Not gruesome. What's the word? Dismal.
Yeah, it was. Did I enjoy my investigation of the house? Part of it, yes. The first time I was there, some of you might have heard this story, but the first time I was there was just like an evening tour, and Darwin Lynn owned it at that time, and he stayed downstairs. So you just could go and explore whatever, and he would either stay in the kitchen or he'd go to his truck, so he wasn't bothering anybody. And I remember that I was sitting on one of the beds in the kids' room, and I was calling out the kids by name, and I wasn't being, provoking or anything like that. But I felt like, when a little kid comes up and wraps their arms around your neck, that's what it felt like, only it was cold. And I started getting that feeling where like the hair was standing up on my arms, but I knew that I shouldn't be afraid. It was more just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. It was an experience that I've never had again. It was like a loving thing. It sounds crazy. I don't know how else to describe it to you all, but literally like when a little child comes up, wraps its arms around you and is hugging you, that's what it felt like. And then after that, I was asking, I was saying, is this Boyd? Because I thought maybe it was the little one. And it wasn't long after that something reached out from under the bed and grabbed my ankle. And I took off. Running down the stairs, and Darwin was just coming back into the house from his truck, and he starts grinning and he says, "You look like you saw a ghost." I said, I didn't see one. And then I told him what happened, and he just laughed and he said, "Oh, honey, you're lucky. They're playing games with you. They like you. Some people aren't so lucky." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he just grinned. And I said, "Well, that's scary though. Something grabbed me from under the bed." He said, "Yeah, they're just playing with you. If they weren't playing with you, you wouldn't have got a hug." So I was like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't have that experience again in the kids' room. It was a one and done kind of deal.
Did he live there alone?
He didn't live there. He owned it. Him and his wife are the ones that originally bought it and turned it back to the way it was. He came because they had a little thing. It was cool. They had this little museum downtown, and you went there first, and they showed you a little film about Villisca, about the axe murder house. And then you would just take your car and follow him over. It was like 2 blocks or something. And then he would let you in. And he would stay in the kitchen for a little bit just to make sure everybody was okay and acclimated, because there's no electricity. He gave us like a lantern, and then we had flashlights of our own. And then he would go sit in his truck for a while, and then, pop in, because you could stay as long as you wanted. Yeah. And then he would pop in every once in a while to see if everybody was still doing okay or whatever. I think we were there about 2.5 or 3 hours the first time. Nice. He was nice. And I hated to hear he passed away, but the new guy, I guess, is just equally as awesome. He's a caretaker of the house.
Where do you sleep when you spend the night there?
Well, if you sleep, you want to take a sleeping bag and just crash on the floor wherever. You could sleep upstairs in the kids' room. I suppose you could sleep on one of the beds if you wanted. It's not the original bed, so yeah. I mean, you could. Yeah. Yeah. When we went, we took sleeping bags to sleep downstairs. I didn't sleep. So, yeah. Lots of noises, lots of smells of rotting flesh. Weird things like that. There's the family's pictures. Is that their Bible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Josiah Moore had several family members. In fact, it was his brother Ross that was the pharmacist, and that the neighbor lady had gotten a hold of that morning when she thought it was weird that all their shades were down and nobody had, been up, because obviously cattle, cattle, like cows that need milked, they are really restless and they make noises. And I suppose, they had other animals too that needed fed. And so the neighbor lady thought it was very strange that they weren't awake at 7:30 in the morning. I mean, I'm a bit of a daredevil when it comes to the paranormal. Christine will tell you, I'm usually like, all right, let's go. I'm the first one in.
So these are notes from people that had spent the night. It's a tradition when you spend the night. There were over 100 notes collected in the basket in 2020.
Yeah, when I was there, they had that too. And so we wrote little notes about what we'd experienced that night. And one of the weirdest things that I have to say that I experienced is it was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were all just kind of laying around on our sleeping bags downstairs. We weren't sleeping, we were listening and just talking about and taking notes about things that were going on. And all of a sudden, I had this overwhelming feeling that something was wrong with my child. Only it was like it wasn't my child, because I knew my child was fine. She was with my parents while I was doing this. And I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if I was picking up on some of the energy in the house of the mother, if I was picking up some of the energy maybe of the Stillinger girl's mother, because obviously she's passed on. And even though she did not pass on in the house, who's to say that, she doesn't pop in once in a while. But it was the weirdest feeling. I felt like I wanted to run upstairs, and it was like I just kept feeling like I needed to protect the children, protect the children. That's what kept going through my head, is protect them, please protect them. And I started bawling, like hysterically crying. And anybody who knows me knows that I don't just cry at the drop of a hat, right, Christine?
Yes.
And I literally was hysterical. And I kept saying, you guys, because my friends were like, no, something's, there's some spirit that's influencing you right now. It's kind of taking over your emotions. And I was just so upset. And I kept saying, you need to leave me alone. I need to go up there and protect the kids. And they were, obviously I know that happened in 1912 and that the children are long gone, but I don't know what it was. I don't know what overcame me. They did end up letting me go up there, and I literally laid on one of the beds and cried till I couldn't cry anymore. And then the feeling was gone. It was the weirdest experience I have ever had. So I don't know if I was picking up, there's something I was picking up on someone's emotion there. Granted, I felt sad too, but this was like, I felt like this was my child and my heart was being ripped out. I don't know how else to describe it.
Okay, I'm going to show some more photos.
Sure. MJ's life, that's what I'm wondering, if it was Sarah Moore that connected with me. I really do. Sugar Beet, I was absolutely channeling. And a mother is the only thing I can think of, because it was just that horrible feeling, as a real mother, when you have your own children and you worry and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to get to my child. That's how I felt. It was, definitely scary.
I'm trying to see what this looks like. I can't get rid of the ads on the side there.
Oh yeah.
But there's some cool pictures in here.
Susie, I think I was. I think I was feeling the mother's fear and grief, because, the killer killed her second. And so she never had the chance to go and try to help her babies or the Stillinger girls. She didn't have that. So I wonder if it was her channeling through me, because that's how it felt. MJ, that's right. It's a gut-wrenching feeling. Yes. It was scary, but amazing. And after I had my cry like that, it was just like she was gone. But it gave me a whole... Josiah? Well, apparently some of the town women thought he was pretty good looking
too. He's a looker, don't you guys think?
Yeah, he's definitely not an ugly man at all. And and she's not. She's kind of plain, but in 1912, she's certainly not ugly by any means. And their kids are adorable.
He's a hottie McTottie. Poor guy.
He would have been scared.
So he's holding the axe.
Yep. That was, I think, the guy that gave the lecture.
Yeah, Professor Ed
That's
Epperly.
him. Yeah.
Wow, that's the guy who gave the lecture.
It was very interesting. And when we were there, that axe was in a case, obviously, because they didn't want everybody walking by messing with it. But yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I hope everybody in the chat can see these.
Nicole said she's no longer talking to me. Stop going to scary places and scaring your friend who loves you. I love you too.
Look at these windows, guys.
Yeah.
That looks like the Amityville horror
It does,
windows,
doesn't it?
but
It does.
smaller.
See,
Wow.
MJ's life agrees. Josiah was a good-looking man. Yeah,
Yeah, he was a hottie. MJ's
he was.
life. How
And he
about
was
those windows?
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's the attic. Those windows are
Wow.
the attic, just like Amityville.
So this guy, Dave Christensen, was a paranormal investigator from Omaha who was trying to determine who killed everybody by measuring the movements of spirits.
It's not easy to do.
And here's a reenactment photo. So this was actually the way the house looked. Look at that wallpaper.
Yeah, that's how it looks now. That wallpaper is in there.
But this
Out
is
of the Shadows with Ginger. The other building, when I was there, they were just finishing building it. It was a modern building. It's where the barn stood. The barn was no longer there. So they built the building where the barn stood so that overnight visitors would have a bathroom to use and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So this is a reenactment. He's holding the axe. They have the person in bed. And this was done soon after the crime.
Okay. So that's
cool.
pretty much the same. The wallpaper on the wall today looks a lot like that. It's hard to tell because it's black and white, but it's very similar.
Look, there's that little guy.
That's Pastor Kelly right there. So that gives you a very good example of, he was pretty small. And that's not saying that, anyone who's small wouldn't have the strength to do that. But could you imagine? He doesn't look real muscular to me. And it just makes me think, how could he murder 8 of them with such brutality?
Yeah, he was a tiny little dude.
And I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. MJ's life, yeah, someone did get stabbed there on an investigation once. Somebody stabbed another person. That's what it looks like. That's if you pull up there today, that's what you're looking at. That's the front of the house.
I don't like that sign. That feels disrespectful to me. That other sign didn't have all the dripping blood on it.
No, it did not. And that's something that apparently the new owner has decided to put there. Darwin, Lynn, the one that I said I knew, the first owner, hit the other sign, the square sign wasn't like that. Yeah, I don't really care for that one myself either.
That was in 2011. Oh, wow. Here's a better shot of the bedroom. And look at the mirror covered.
Yep.
In the windows.
Yep. That's the Stillingers, where the Stillinger girls were at. I know Susie G, right? The person that killing anyone in that manner, they were killed as evil, but to kill a child that way, he couldn't have a soul.
No.
Hemi, you're right. They were a lot stronger back then because they were doing hard manual labor.
That guy doesn't look like he did any labor.
He was the traveling preacher, is what they called him. Pastor Kelly. He literally was called the traveling preacher because he went all over the place. And there's some records that his wife went sometimes, but like when he was back in Villisca again, his wife wasn't with him because he was peeking in windows.
Wow.
I know, right?
There's another bedroom. This is the upstairs bedroom. This was Josiah Moore. Look how tiny these rooms were. So that would have been
Josiah and Sarah's room. Yeah. He slept on the left. She slept on the right, closer to the wall. And the reason I know that is because on the left side of the bed, right above it, you can see the axe marks.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty spooky.
Is this the bedroom you were in?
That was the parents' room, which you have to walk through that room to get to the kids' room. That's downstairs. The blue room is downstairs.
Oh, okay. So they'll probably show.
Yes, Out of the Shadows with Ginger. That is a very small town. That looks like a picture of, is that in the kids' room maybe, in the ball?
No, that's where the piano is. It says this
Oh,
was
okay.
Martha Lynn, 17-year owner of the Villisca Axe
There you
Murder
go.
House, explains that overnight guests will leave balls and toys for the ghost of the deceased children to play with.
Mhm.
During an interview in the living room of the home, yeah, so this was in the living room.
So that's Martha Lynn. Her husband Darwin is the one I've been talking about. So yeah,
That's
she's the
cool.
one that they owned that for quite a while, and such wonderful people. And then he unfortunately passed away. She chose to sell it, but they sold it to someone they knew very, very well and that would respect the house and upkeep it. I just wish that he would change the sign, but otherwise, I think they do a good job.
It has pretty flooring.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I have never been to Malvern Manor out of the Shadows with Ginger. I've heard of it. I've never been there. That might be something I have to tackle. Yes, I am. I am in Nebraska out of the Shadows with Ginger, so I'm not too far away.
There's another shot of the attic.
The attic is creepy, and I didn't like it. The energy was not good. Because I really do believe that house is so small, and I really do believe that the killer just stayed there. I mean, they found the cigarette butts there. They knew that it didn't belong to, any of the parents. So, and that room, literally the door to the attic is right there in Josiah and Sarah's room. So it would have been very easy for him to creep out. And especially if they really did have, some sort of drugs, which I don't know, but I can't fathom any other reason that they would just have not heard other people being murdered. Yes, Sabrina, go Big Red. Is that the kids' room? I can't tell. It looks, yeah. Yeah, because the bed on the right is the bed that I sat on that I felt like I was getting hugged. Hi, Melissa Jade. And that's
Hi,
also the
Melissa.
bedroom. That same bed is the one that I felt like something grabbed my ankle.
Which one?
And that's also the bed to the right there.
With the white cover?
Yeah, it's got kind of a whitish quilt.
Yeah.
And that's also the room when I felt that horrible feeling like I needed to save my babies. That's the bed that I laid and cried my eyes out. Yvette, I don't know why they didn't smell cigarette smoke. I don't know when the person smoked, if it was, when they first got in there and maybe they were at church long enough. I honestly can't answer that because I know you would think they would notice that. But again, if for some reason that they were drugged with something, maybe they just didn't notice.
Are the axe marks in this room too?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Which is good. That's the children's room. And it's such a weird feeling when you go in there. There's the closet door. When we stayed all night, the closet door would open and shut a little bit. It was almost like if a child was peeking out, you know what I mean? And shutting it again. And so we went over and actually opened the door all the way. And of course, there was nothing there. So we shut it all the way. And then a little while later, you would hear it unlatch. And it was literally like a little child was peeking out, but was too shy to come out. Because I would say, you know me, I've been here before. And just kind of encourage. We are very respectful. So we don't provoke spirits. And especially because there's so many children here. I didn't want to be another scary figure.
There's an orb.
Yeah,
next to the
that's very common. It's possible MJ's life. Maybe Josiah smoked and they didn't notice it. I don't know. I guess that no one's ever said. I'm
Look
crazy, Tattoo says.
Look at the size of that orb next to the ball. It's huge.
That's common. Very common to get orbs, and it's very common to debunk them as well. You can tell if it's dust once you research it a little bit, especially if you get it on digital camera. You can try to reproduce it again to see if it's dust or something, and if you can't, then there you go.
So these are people waiting in line to take a tour.
Yeah. See, now when we took a tour, we just booked the first time we went. Hey, Rochelle. Good to see you, love. Rochelle's in here.
Hi, Rochelle.
When we booked our tour, our evening tour, we booked a private tour. And of course, our overnight, there was nobody there because that was reserved just for us, but it was awesome.
So this guy here that we're looking at, he said he vowed to never step inside the Villesca axe murder house after spending the night there 6 years ago. He says he decided to go back for another visit. He said weird stuff that happened the night he stayed spooked him. However, he felt better about visiting during the day.
Out of the Shadows with Ginger, no. Josiah probably, if he did smoke, he wouldn't put cigarettes out on his floor. I think what they were wondering about is the smell. You know, why didn't they notice the smell of cigarette smoke that was in there? And I don't know if Josiah smoked. That's something I've never seen. We did have I got shoved. I almost got shoved down the stairs after I left the attic. And I said, I don't like the way that this feels. And I said that had to be crazy. And this is exactly what I said. This had to be crazy for that creeper to come out of the attic and to kill these people. It's disgusting. And literally it felt like two hands shoved me and almost pushed me down the stairs. I grabbed the railing, and that's the only reason I didn't fall. So that was kind of a weird thing. And then also I got the smell when we were all laying around again after my crying fit of, I don't know. The only thing I can say is I was channeling Sarah Moore. That's the only thing I can figure. But we got the smell of rotting flesh. It was horrible. I've never had an experience like that. I mean, I've smelled perfume and different things, you know, at different haunted locations. I've never smelled flesh that was rotting like that. That's the only thing I can describe it. It was horrible. And all of us smelled it. It wasn't just one or two of us. So then we would go outside, you know, and just get some fresh air. And then we'd come back in and you would still smell it. So we were looking everywhere to see, is this something that's manufactured? You know, is something pumping in a smell to try to scare us? Or, you know, you look for things like that. And we looked everywhere and could not find anything. And, you know, one of the guys even went down in the cellar and he was looking around and down in there to make sure there was, you know, not a dead rodent or anything that could have caused it. But no, Susie G, I think you're right. That's the smell of evil. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And I would say it stuck around about half an hour, 45 minutes. And we were all like, I'm not going back in there. We went and sat outside for a long time. And when we went back in, it was fine again. Oh, I'd rather have that blissful, a room where you smelled perfume. That's awesome. Hemi, it could have been a debt. I mean, I don't think, you know, nobody would know, obviously, if Josiah owed money to somebody. I mean, truthfully, who knows? Sophia, you're right. I mean, we don't know that they didn't say it smells like cigarettes. I mean, we don't know what they said. You got sirens going on there, Christine.
Yeah, sorry guys.
That's all right. The cellar didn't exist at the time of the murders, she said. Yeah, I didn't know. He went down there and checked when we were there to make sure it wasn't a dead rodent sneaking it up, though. I didn't go down there.
Do we want to start the paranormal video that we found?
Sure, you bet.
Okay,
I will mute. I'll mute.
So this video is a little paranormal investigation that was done inside of this house. Since Leigh Ann doesn't have her own footage, we decided we would show other footage because she said the experience was similar. So here we go.
Caddy, Texas gal, Josiah ran an implement store, mostly with John Deere products. He had worked for Frank Jones, the senator, and then opened his own store and took all the John Deere business with him.
Well, we've been wanting to come here a long time.
Yeah, bit of a bucket list place, huh?
Yeah, it's just when I actually cross the items off this bucket list, I'm not very excited. I am when I'm at home imagining it, but now that I'm standing here looking at it.
Now you got to be brave.
Yeah.
Do you remember how to do that?
the Villesca Murder House. Look, it's kind enough to remind us when the horrible event happened.
Yeah.
Grab a picture, send a postcard to your parents. Ugh. This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we investigate the Villesca Murder House as part of our ongoing investigation into the question, are ghosts real?
Oh.
It's back. A location voted one of the most terrifying places in America, this unassuming family home in Villisca, Iowa, was the setting for one of the most grisly, infamous unsolved murders in American history.
So the ghoul boy is going to show up and do that little dance.
Right
Knowing
here.
absolutely nothing about this and having driven through Iowa, I'm terrified. Because I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe that Iowa is haunted.
Just as a whole, just as soon as you cross the state lines, you could have a hitchhiking ghost.
Yeah. And look, I'm sure there's plenty of nice people in Iowa, but I'm from Illinois, so they can all go fuck
Oh,
themselves.
God, let's not bring up the...
Yeah, we got beef.
There's no reason to bring up the I-State turf war.
There's a lot of turf out there in the Midwest. Turf wars, yeah, we don't like each other.
How many skulls have you claimed in this turf war?
Countless.
Oh, shit. Okay, let's get into it. Built in 1868, this 3-bedroom house was purchased by local business owner Josiah B. Moore in 1903. Josiah, his wife, Sarah, and their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, lived in the small frame home located on 2nd Street and were the very picture of a perfect family. On June 9th, 1912, around 9:30 p.m., the Moore family made their way back home after attending a special service for children at the local church. The Moore family was joined by Lena and Ina Stillinger, who were friends of their eldest daughter and were sleeping over that night. Early the next morning, Mary Peckham, the Moore's neighbor, was up at 5 a.m. hanging laundry. By 7 a.m., she noticed that no one in the Moore home was awake and doing their usual daily chores. Mary recalled that something just felt off. The Moore's untended horses began neighing, so Mary walked over to the Moore home and knocked on their door. There was no answer. She attempted to open the door, but found it to be locked. Growing increasingly distressed, Mary called Josiah's brother Ross, and at 8:30 a.m. on the morning of June 10th, 1912, Ross Moore stepped inside his brother's family home to find the unthinkable. This might be the door that the killer entered through, or at least some suspect that. And here we are. Hello! Hi there! Well, this is the kitchen, and as you can see, everything is pretty much set as it would have been in 1912. All of the furniture is almost the same. This, for the most part, is what it looked like that night. Every footstep in here shakes this house.
Yeah, just as a quick example, because it seems to really, if I just give a little...
Which makes it kind of hard for me to believe that this guy could have snuck around. But he did. Somehow.
Do you get bad vibes from this place, Ryan?
I mean,
Can
I
you
don't
pause it a second?
places that we go.
I have to kind of chuckle here because these guys are saying, well, I find it hard to believe that this guy could have snuck around. Well, he didn't. They do know, that well, I guess I can't say they know 100%, but the theory is that he was in the attic already because that's where they found the cigarette butts, and that he was already hiding out in there. So I don't think, in my own opinion, and being in this house, there's no way if they would have just came home and say went to bed, had their snack and went to bed, and he just came in, first of all, those wooden floors are so creaky, and the stairs, there's no way you would have been able to sneak up those stairs. So that's why, I really think that he was already in the attic. Oh, MJ's Life said we can share whatever we want to of Mexi's. Thank you. That's awesome. What do you think, Christiane? Do you think he was hiding up there?
Yeah, and they said in the beginning they didn't know much about the case.
Yeah, so I had to comment on that because I just don't think, trust me on that one, and I'm sure MJ can probably attest to this from Mexi's video, those floors are so creaky. There's no way.
Would you want me to go get that video instead?
Sure. I mean, sure. If she said Mexi doesn't mind, and I think a lot of folks here probably know who Mexi is. So, yeah, I mean, sure.
Okay.
I'll have to thank Mexi for us for letting us use that. That's awesome.
Okay, then you can talk to the chat while I go look.
Yeah, that's no problem. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that the killer was already in the attic? Tattoos, yeah, I mean, I'm sure when the kids first got home, they were probably running around. So if he was in the attic, nobody would have noticed it right away. Hey, Mexi, thank you for letting us use some of your stuff here. Appreciate that.
Does he mind if we share it?
No, MJ said that he didn't mind. She asked him. He's in here with us, though.
That's what I meant. Ask him which one. He has two. He has one named Villisca Axe Murder House, The Aftermath.
That would have been
in the
after.
Villesca Axe Murders. There's two different videos that he made. Which one does he suggest?
Oh, he's okay with us showing that. Thank you so much, Mexi. We really, really appreciate this.
Which one, though, does he suggest? Because he has two different ones. One is called the Villesca Axe Murder House, The Aftermath, and the other is called the Villesca Axe Murders.
Sofa, of course you can drop Mexi's link. That would be fine.
Yes, everybody, or mods, please drop any content creators' links.
He said there should be one that says tour.
Huh. Okay, hold on.
I would imagine that the floors or the stairs would have been creaky back then too. I don't know that 100%, but the house that I live in is a newer home with wood floors.
Hold on, sorry.
Anyway, my new home has wood floors and they creak. So, I mean, I can't obviously say that for sure. I'm not an expert, but I would imagine that there would be a little bit of creakiness at least to those. Plus, the way the stairs go, you go straight up into the parents' room. And I would think it would be super hard to not hear at least, the steps on the stairs, even trying to be quiet. Tilly May, we are having fun. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah. Okay, so did she leave us? Where did you go, lady? Tilly
She was doing her chores.
Oh, can't tell her not to do her chores.
Thank you, Chris, for dropping Mexi's link.
Yes, thank you. Okay, you ready to mute? I found it.
Yep, I will mute right now.
This is my journey through the Villesca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa. My name is Mexi. I'm a paranormal true crime investigator from Denver, Colorado. The victims: Josiah Moore, 43, Sarah Moore, 39, Herman Montgomery Moore, 11, Mary Catherine Moore, 10, Arthur Boyd Moore, 7, Paul Vernon Moore, 5, and their guests, Ina May Stillinger, 8, and Lena Gertrude Stillinger, 12. On Sunday evening, June 9th, 1912, Josiah Moore and his wife Sarah took their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, to the Children's Day service at the Presbyterian Church. Accompanying them was Lena and Ina Stillinger, neighbors who had asked their parents permission to stay overnight with the Moore children. The service ended around 9:30 p.m., and that's when they left this church, taking this road that you'll see now. This would have been the same road that they would have traveled down to get to their house, just 3 blocks away. When they arrived home, they had milk and cookies before going to bed, not knowing the gruesome fate which awaited them, to become known as the Villesca Axe Murders. One of the suspects in the murders was the Reverend George Kelly. He was a very odd fellow with a checkered past. At 5:19 a.m. the morning following the murders, the Reverend George Kelly left Villisca on board the westbound number 5 train and allegedly told fellow travelers there was 8 dead souls back in Villisca, Iowa, butchered in their beds while they slept. Kelly returned 2 weeks later and, posing as a detective, joined a tour of the murder house with a group of investigators. Kelly had a history of mental illness, including a breakdown as an adolescent. On August 31st, 7 a.m., Kelly signed a confession to the murder, saying, "God had whispered to him to suffer the children to come unto me." Kelly recanted his confession at the trial, and his case went to the jury on September 26. The jury deadlocked 11-1 for acquittal. A second jury was immediately impaneled, but acquitted Reverend Kelly in November. Henry Moore was another suspect in the Villesca Axe Murders. There were many different murders in the Midwest that were done with an axe. This made people believe that Henry Moore was the serial killer that was responsible for all of these crimes. Henry Moore was actually convicted of the murders of his mother and maternal grandmother in Columbia, Missouri, just months after the murders in Villisca. Moore's family members were killed just as brutally as the victims in Villisca, and his weapon of choice was an axe. As more and more crimes popped up around the area, they found the similarities between them more distinct and striking. Another suspect in the Villesca Axe Murders was Frank F. Jones. There were at least 2 compelling reasons to believe that Jones had nursed a hatred of Joe. First, he had worked for him for 7 years, becoming the star salesman of Jones's farm equipment business. But Moore had left in 1907, which made them head-to-head rivals. And what was worse is he was also believed to have slept with Jones's daughter-in-law. By 1912, the relations between Jones and Moore had grown so cold that they began to cross a street to avoid each other. In 1916, a theory was announced that Jones had hired a killer by the name of William Mansfield to murder Josiah Moore and his family. In July 1916, Burns Detective Agency Operative Wilkerson arrested Mansfield in Kansas City, Kansas. He was interrogated in Kansas City, then extradited from Kansas to face Montgomery County grand jury. Wilkerson suggested that Mansfield had been hired to murder Josiah Moore. The rest of the victims were supposedly collateral damage by Iowa State Senator Frank Jones. The jury deliberated a week, and local opinion anticipated Mansfield would be bound over for trial. Instead, the jury returned no true bill, and Mansfield was released.
She takes a picture, and in that picture is this ET. He puts the camera over in that direction, and everyone looking in that direction at that moment saw it. You can make contact with these civilizations, and you do not need the government. And that's when they take me into it.
Here's the Villesca Axe Murder House as it stands now in April 2021. ahead, you'll see the chicken coop, and then off to the right-hand side, you will see the barn. There is no bathroom in the house, so they would have had to use the outhouse. And even this outhouse is very unsettling. As I sit here in front of the barn, I'm left with my thoughts and the surreal feeling of what happened in 1912. After the murders the next morning, neighbor Mary Peckham noticed that the family hadn't come outside to do any of their usual chores. Mary knocked on the door of the house, but nobody answered, and it was locked. After letting their chickens out, she rang Ross Moore, the brother of Josiah. As I took the same walk that Mary and Ross would have, they would have came this direction and came up directly to this door to check if it was locked. Ross had a spare key, and this is the door that he would have entered. As we enter into the house, you're left with a very unsettling feeling. Sickness, sadness. This would have been the kitchen. In the dishes, much as if the Moore family had never left. As we walk into the living room, to the left you will see the door that Josiah's brother would have entered through. It makes you wonder what his thoughts would have been as he walked into this house, realizing that something was not right. As I look around the living room, it makes you wonder how many countless hours were spent laughing, playing, sharing stories amongst each other. And within a moment's notice, it was gone. In the doorway to the right, on the door frame, is where they found the axe. On November 7th, 2014, Robert Larson Jr. stabbed himself in the chest. He was treated for his injuries and taken by medical helicopter to another medical center. The blood on the rug is from his injuries. This would have been the bedroom where they found Lena and Ina Stillinger. Investigators believe that all of the victims except for Lena Stillinger had been asleep when murdered. They thought that she was awake and tried to fight back as she was found lying crosswise on the bed and with a defensive wound on her arm. Lena's nightgown was also pushed up to her waist and she was wearing no undergarments, leading law enforcement to speculate that the killer sexually molested her or attempted to do so. This would have been where the killer started, with Josiah Moore on the left and Sarah on the right. And above this dresser, one of the more disturbing things of the house, the axe imprint left in the wall. A constant reminder of what had happened here at Villisca. As I check the ceiling for more markings, they've been covered up and patched over. And now we make our way to the attic, where the killer or killers were believed to be hiding. 2 cigarette butts had been left, as if they were patiently waiting for the family to fall asleep. The second room that the killers would have gone into was this room. In this room was Herman Montgomery, Mary Catherine, Arthur Boyd, and Paul Vernon. Said after the first victims, Josiah and Sarah Moore, that the killer stood over here. There was a pool of blood that was found, as if they were trying to listen downstairs, as if somebody had woke up. Although the cellar didn't have anything to do with the killings, I wanted to go down there, as this was part of the house. As I got down there, you get a very creepy feeling as if something's watching you. additional footage, I made my way to the Villesca Cemetery, as I wanted to find the Moors' final resting place. I also found Lena and Ina Stillinger's final resting place. It was within close proximity of the Moors' final resting place. I believe this to be the Stillingers' parents. I will never forget what happened between June 9th and June 10th, 1912, the Villesca Axe Murders.
That
Wow.
was amazing.
Mexi, that was awesome. If you're still listening, and MJ's life, thank
That was
you.
so good. What is that?
I don't know.
The smell.
Oh God,
Does
it
it every
didn't.
time.
It didn't. Oh my God, it didn't shut off. That scared the shit out of me.
I was like, who's talking?
Oh my gosh, I almost fell off the chair.
That's funny. Yeah, that was excellent. Oh, Mexi, that was
so
we
good.
will definitely get a hold of you to schedule
Yeah.
something for you to come and talk about some of your investigations. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I thought
Oh,
Mexi somehow was on panel.
Sofa. I know. I was like, Sofa wants to know if we can watch this footage of his overnight stay. That is up to Mexi if he doesn't mind us sharing some of that or not.
And then I may have to leave you with it. I need to pick Bella up.
Yeah, I can't stay on too late tonight either. So, but
we can finish it tomorrow afternoon.
Hey,
oh,
would anybody?
MJ's life said it's 8 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think you guys. If you go to Mexi's channel, can somebody drop that link again? But yeah, if they can drop his link again, if you guys want to go over and watch some of his overnight, I will tonight. I'll watch some of that later too.
Yeah, let's give him all the views on it.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Hey, Tara Boom. Yeah, he's the one that put in all the work on this, and what an awesome job. But it gives you a very good idea of how small the house really is.
Yeah, the steps were crazy small.
Aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are the steps I almost got pushed down by whatever didn't want me up there.
I can't believe that this is our last night of our paranormal week already. That went so fast.
I know. MJ, he's going back in August.
Oh, that's
awesome.
That would be amazing.
Sofa, I don't know if he stayed at the Stanley. I thought he was going to. Maybe he did. Yeah, Mexi, that staircase is crazy, isn't it? It's like tight and it's the like little steps. It was real steep.
It reminds me of a house. Remember I told you guys on our last live that I had bought my great-great-great-grandparents' house that they built?
Yeah.
It reminds me of their attic steps. That's how their attic steps were.
Ooh, and these steps are just the steps to go upstairs in general, you know, to where the kids' room was and the parents' room and the attic.
Mm-hmm.
But those are some crazy stairs up there.
So we decided, since we had so much fun with this, that we're going to pick one day out of the week where we do paranormal every week. We haven't decided, right, Leigh Ann, on which night that is yet. But
Well, what was it that Gold Star Mom had said about Friday? What was the name? That's Frightful Friday or something like that?
you want to keep it Fridays? We can do that.
Oh, I don't care. What do you guys think? Do you have any input or any catchy names like Frightful Friday? Gold Star Mom, I think, came up with that. Was that the right
Yeah.
word she used? Okay.
Yep. I don't know if she's still here. Is she still here?
I don't know.
I don't think she
I
is.
saw MJ. I watched all the time when he went to the Watts house. Mexi, that was when he went to the Watts house. Is it true that that house sold? Mexi will know. I'm just curious. Yes, Out of the Shadows with Ginger. Yeah, those steps are so narrow, and about 3/4 of the way up, you feel closed in. And yeah, that's true.
Did you see where Out of the Shadows with Ginger said that her grandmother who lived there told
Yeah.
her that guy, what's his name, the pastor, was a creepy guy, and he was looking at all the kids at
The
that
Reverend Kelly.
church.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. He was known. I mean, I don't know how, if it was official that he liked children but it was talked about a lot how he liked to go creep around and look in people's windows at women and children.
Mm-hmm. But it was so cool to hear that her grandmother told her about it.
Nikki, don't worry, because if you want to, she didn't get a chance to get her stuff together, but yeah, we still want to have you on, Nikki.
Oh,
We'll have
yeah,
you on.
absolutely.
We haven't forgotten you, and I definitely am interested in your presentation and the stuff that you've got. So don't worry with your transfer and everything. Don't think we don't want you on, because we do. Ooh, look at Tilly Mae said Phantom Friday. Look how she
Oh, I
spelled
love
Friday.
that.
I love it.
That's perfect. Mexi
I
said it
love
has
that.
not sold.
Okay. Wow. It's a shame that they don't let anybody in there even, to investigate. You'd think they'd want them, even if they charged a fee. But that's too bad.
Susie, that's awesome. I'd be falling every day. With one of
Yeah,
those
well, and
dresses
if
on.
you think about that too, like, how they had to do the laundry and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you imagine carrying all that stuff down those stairs? Ooh.
Well, back then they didn't wear a lot of clothes. Didn't they have like Sunday wear, like
Your
then-
best, and then you would have
yeah.
your regular dresses that you would have on, and you figure all the petticoats underneath and all of that, all that gear.
But I heard that's why the closets were so tiny.
Yeah,
back in
because
the
they
day.
didn't have much, right?
Yeah.
And your long underwear, the bloomers or whatever they called those back in those days. I know that attic is big, and you would have thought they would have expanded or, made a couple more bedrooms in there or something. That's a good question. I don't know why they never, who knows why they didn't. Oh, MJ, you had said make it a bed and breakfast. They upped the price to $800K. Wow.
Wow.
On the Watts house. That's wild.
Oh my, she said her grandma was supposed to stay
Oh.
over with the Moores, but her mother said no because she didn't do all her chores, thank God.
Oh my gosh. Did you see that? How cute. Thank God she was a lazy girl, or I wouldn't be here. Yeah.
That is fascinating to me.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Ginger.
amazing.
I want to hear all her stories too.
Me too. Wow. Do you want to come up on panel for a little bit? Or we can maybe even schedule you another day to share some stories that your grandma had about that. That's fascinating. Caddy, Texas gal. Yeah, closets were a luxury. Oh, homes were taxed for their closets. Ah.
Oh, really? Wow. That's why they used armoires.
I didn't know that. I know that.
Thank you, honey.
Oh, thank you. I know that I've been in several houses, like from this time period, and I always wondered that maybe one room would have a teeny tiny closet, but yeah, otherwise it was armoires. Yeah, that's wild. I didn't realize that.
Wow.
Oh, that is so cute. Look at what Tara put. Lazy girls rock. Lazy girls save lives. Yes.
That's awesome.
That is so amazing. I bet your grandmother had some awesome stories, but how scary to think about that she could have been there. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, fate It wasn't her fate. Goodness. Oh my gosh, Allison, homes were taxed by the number of doors and that's why they use long windows onto upper porches. Wow.
Well,
I'm learning a lot. I didn't even know this stuff. That's very interesting too. Oh, thank you, Hemi. You're awesome too.
I was gonna drop our link. Now I can't find it. Well, what do you want me to do about that? I don't know where it went.
Don't worry
Here,
about
hold
it.
on. Let me see our ticker. There it is. All right, that's that one.
Out of the Shadows with Ginger. Yeah, we'll have to have you on soon on a Phantom Friday to talk about, all the stuff that your grandma told you. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Coco, you're welcome. Yeah, we were trying not to make anything, even just in what we were presenting. And Mexi did an awesome, awesome, awesome job on that and very respectful. That was one of the things I told Christine. I wanted to make sure that this came off as respectful because, even though I was there paranormal investigating, that's why we went to the cemetery first and left flowers. And I know it sounds silly to say I talked to them all, but I wanted them just to know that, I wasn't going into their home to be disrespectful. And I do respect the fact that they were living human beings just like all of us. And it was a very tragic event that happened to them. So thank you for that. I was really
thank you, everybody. Yeah.
conscious about how we presented it. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, we do learn something new every day, don't we, Tara? Wow. Oh, thank you, Out of the Shadows with Ginger. I appreciate all of your input. This has been awesome.
Yeah, so we did two. We've had our channel now for a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
We've done two huge presentations.
Yep.
We did one on paranormal. I think that was a 2-week thing. Your paranormal and parasocial. No, your paranormal was a week. So we're hoping that you guys are enjoying our content.
Oh, thank you, Susie. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I will always remember that sitting on that bed and those little arms going around my neck. It just literally did feel like that. And it was cold like you would expect, but it wasn't scary. It really was like a little child was hugging me. And I will always treasure that, truthfully. I've never had that since, and it was very special.
So I think tomorrow, because there were a few things that we needed to talk about to finish up with Paranormal Week that we had emailed to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think tomorrow afternoon we should not end it tonight.
No, and Nikki,
Finish
if
it
you're
off
available,
tomorrow.
that would be a great time tomorrow if Nikki's available for her to jump in with her stuff too. Yeah. So let us know, Nikki, on that one.
And then we'll end tomorrow. We'll make tomorrow the finale of the Paranormal Week, because I do want to share. There was 2 stories we got emailed, right, Leigh Ann?
Yeah. Yes.
2 really amazing stories with pictures that somebody had shared with us.
And I know there was some folks that wanted to pop up on panel and share a couple experiences as well.
Right. So we'll do that tomorrow. We'll open up panel, and then we'll pick a night. We'll start next Friday, I guess, right? And we'll do a paranormal once a week.
Yeah. So Out of the Shadows with Ginger, if you want to, we'll get a hold of us. Just shoot us an email. If you see on the little ticker thing up there that's going, there's our email. And then we can, communicate about having you come on up if you want to next Friday. Coco, I know that it just tore at my heart, that little hug. Oh, yep.
Okay,
you don't know how much I wish I could have just turned around and hugged it back.
Chris said we need to check the update chat. I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, I will.
All right, so guys, we're gonna end it.
Thank you so Ginger. Much. Thank you, everyone. I so appreciate you being here.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Watch for the thumbnail. We'll get a time pinned down, but
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow.
And then we will do our finale for Paranormal Week. It's been amazing.
Yay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. It's Friday night.
Yes.
Go out and get a what? I was gonna say something.
Go get some ice cream. Celebrate with some ice cream. And thank
Or a
you
beer.
again. Thank you again, Mexi, if you're listening. We really appreciate it.
We love you too, Hemi. Yes, thank you, Mexi, so much.
Yep. Love you, Hemi. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Don't drink and drive.